felt used. I felt I was treated like a cash cow. Well, I raised like millions of dollars for the DNC and everything, and I felt used and discarded. I mean, look what they did to me now. My parents have been threatened.
You got death threats?
My parents got death threats. Well, they threatened to kill me, but they sent the death threats to my family because they knew their address. Anytime you call Biden out, you're excommunicated, destroyed, discredited, defamed. You're not allowed to point at any of the holes. You just can't. And even when Biden was clearly, his brain was melting in front of the entire world, no one was allowed to say a single thing. We all had to pretend. And I'm sorry, but I also pretended. I'm sorry. I wish I didn't, but I felt I had no choice.
This is a cult. This is like a religion.
This sounds nuts, but they really think that it doesn't matter what Americans think. This is just the right thing to do. They think that they're standing against the Nazis, and we are the Nazis.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end. As always, my friends, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that. I have a very special guest today. Her name is Lindy Li. Some of you might be familiar with her. She's been making the rounds on all the major podcasts out there ever since election night. Patrick Bet-David, good friend of mine, and many, many others. And I would tell you this, I find her to be a very credible person. I've listened to many of the interviews, and also a very courageous person. Now, why am I saying courageous? Very simple. She was a lifelong Democrat, and she is now upset with the Democratic Party, and she's getting death threats. They've turned on her. Her family is getting death threats, got to walk around with security in some places. And this is a very petite, nice woman who's getting these kind of threats. I have to tell you something, people. There is a new mafia in town, and they are hiding in plain sight, and they are the progressive arm of the Democratic Party. We can see it. Just go on the news every night. I don't know if you can see it on mainstream media because they try to still cover up all this stuff like they did for years and years and years with Joe Biden. Remember the summer of peace when people were getting, shot out and buildings were getting burned and cops were getting killed and business was getting, thrown rocks at through the windows and stolen items out of all that stuff. Remember, that was a summer of peace, according to mainstream media. They didn't show any of that because they lied to us like they did for 4 years with Biden. But, it's terrible. I mean, what these people are doing, inciting violence with Tesla, going after Tesla owners who bought the car. They may not even like Elon Musk, but you remember, Elon Musk was the darling of the left when they were trying to impose electric vehicles on us. Remember that? But since he is now, trying to uncover fraud and abuse in government, now they hate him. So they turned on him. They cannibalized themselves all the time. The stuff that they're doing. Representative Maxine Waters, go and get in their faces, let them know, inciting violence, all of them. They're all doing this. AOC jumping around the stage like a nut. These people, getting little toy Teslas, banging on them, and understand this, people. This is not coming from them alone. All of these, Democrats who claim that all the billionaires are in the Republican Party, nonsense. That's total garbage. It's all the billionaires like Soros and all the ones that, hate Trump that are putting up the money for all of these people. These people don't have the time to do this. They're getting paid for it. They'll do anything for money. That's who they are. It's so obvious. But this is the new mafia. Trust me. These people incite violence. They go after you. They want to hurt you. These are bad people out there. And this woman is now a target. And why is she a target? Well, she raised millions and millions of dollars for Kamala Harris, and she was lied to throughout. And this money that she raised, because I heard her say this before, we're going to get into it, she raised from friends, people that she knew, people that trusted her because she believed that Kamala Harris really had a shot. But now, she's got a different story out there. So she's upset, and she has every right to be because they lied to her, an insider, the same way they lied to us for 4 years. Continuously lied to us. And she exposed some things like, big shot Oprah Winfrey, who really supported Kamala Harris, got over $2 million to support her. Al Sharpton, $500,000 for an interview. Are you kidding me? Who even watches him? $500,000. I'm not surprised at all. I know Al Sharpton very well. I have so many stories about him. He's just doing the same thing now with a suit on that he used to do in a warm-up suit with chains around his neck. That's him. Same guy. And Beyonce, got paid, I believe, $1 million to go up on stage. She wouldn't even sing. So she was upset because she was told all along that Kamala really had a shot to win, and she never had a shot. Never had a shot. So they lied to her just to get her money. The donors are upset with her. I've heard this on other interviews. Donors very upset with her because they feel that she should have known better. So she's ostracized by people that she tried to, help because she really believed in the Democratic Party. She's not the only one. There are a lot of people now that are defecting because of the lies and because of everything else. But I'm going to have a different conversation with her. And like I said, courageous woman. And I got to tell you this. I've listened to other people that have tried to say that she's not credible. A guy by the name of Roland Martin. He's got a good platform, very good platform, well over a million subs, good platform. But I listened specifically because he tried to say that she was not credible and he provided no facts. And Roland, I'd be happy to sit down with you anytime and we can debate this back and forth after I speak to her, anytime, because you didn't give any facts at all. This was your opinion and you tried to make it sound like she wasn't being credible. Not so. If you want to sit and debate with somebody, do it with me. And let's go facts. I'm happy to do that. I would love to sit down with the opposition and talk about facts when it comes to the Biden administration and anything else. Let's sit down and talk facts because you have nothing to support. All you guys do the same thing. It's Trump hatred. You throw up all this stuff. He's a Nazi, all this kind of stuff. You never provide any facts, other than what your opinion is. So let's sit down and talk. But anyway, without any further delay, I'm very excited to talk to this very courageous woman, and I mean that, and I think you're going to come away with the same conclusion, my special guest, Lindy Li.
So Lindy, really a pleasure to have you here. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. You've certainly made the rounds, and you're very bold about, your positions right now, both with the DNC and now, moving over to the conservative side, I would say. And I want to ask you this, because this is something that right off the bat, and we'll get into a lot of things, that's really perplexed me with the Democratic Party right now. You're a conservative. You've been a conservative most of your life. I think that was your upbringing. I don't understand. These people, to me, have seemed to have gone off the deep end. There's just no rhyme or reason or rationality to the way they're behaving, just as a normal person.
Absolutely.
I just don't understand it.
It baffles me as well. And I think they are so blind to it. They're so straitjacketed by their woke and trans insanity, the LGBTQI+. Every year there's a different, there's another letter. Each of them is trying to out-extremist the one before. They're virtue signaling. Their entire party is just virtue signaling. I mean, the topless trans woman on the South Lawn of the Biden White House was the embodiment of the left-wing extremism that has taken over the party. Not only that, we saw, I don't even want to go there, and to vocalize that makes me sick, but the two guys in the Senate, in the halls of Congress doing that,
Yes.
you know what I mean. I mean, everybody knows what I mean.
Yes.
It's just such a desecration of everything that we hold dear. That's a hollowed space. Those are the halls of power. I mean, these are sacred grounds, and they did that. It's just so unforgivable.
My friends, I've seen quite a bit in my life. I know what it is to have money. I know what it is to have power. I know what it is to have control, not only in my business, but over people. And let me tell you this, Wall Street, Washington, they play the same games as we did on the street. Make no mistake about that. They make the rules. They cash in, and regular people like us, they're left holding the bag. Our debt, out of control. The dollar, it's losing value by the day. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. And the market, it's rigged for the people at the top. That's right. You don't need a crystal ball to see where this is all heading. So what do? You take control. You protect what's yours. That's why I turn to American Hartford Gold. They help people like you and me get into something real, physical gold and silver. There's no gimmicks, no empty promises, just a solid way to keep your wealth safe. You can get gold and silver shipped straight to your door, or you can set up a gold IRA to help your retirement funds dodge taxes legally. We're allowed to do that, as long as it's legal, and their customer service, top notch. They make the whole process very simple, very secure, very straightforward. These guys are the best in the business, trust me. They have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and thousands, I mean thousands of 5-star reviews. And right now they're giving up to $15,000 in free silver with your first purchase. $15,000. All you got to do is call 866-703-5957 or text CAPO, that's C-A-P-O, to 65532. Listen, times are tough. We know that. But you don't have to get played by the big guys. Be tougher than them. Be smarter. Call American Hartford Gold today at 866-703-5957 or text CAPO, C-A-P-O, to 65532. Or you can click the link in the description below. People, this is an offer you can't afford to refuse.
Well, let me ask you this. Going back and being a conservative and having conservative values, what was it that initially attracted you to the Democratic Party?
Because it was fine when we started, when I was like 12, 13 years old. It was like the Bill Clinton days, George W. Bush days. Everything was, it seemed to be fine. I grew up in suburban Pennsylvania in a very moderate district. I grew up in the church. It was okay to be Christian and Democrat. Now, if you have faith in the Democratic Party, people think you're stupid or you're dumb or you're somehow deluded. You're not allowed to have faith or, you're not allowed to believe in a higher power and to elevate like love. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I come from an authoritarian regime and so much of it reeks of communism, frankly.
Was your grandfather, if I remember,
My
he was
great-grandfather
killed?
was murdered.
Was
in
murdered
cold
by the
blood.
communists.
Thank you. You did your homework. I'm seriously impressed. Thank you.
Well, listen, you're an impressive person. I know you went to Princeton, which is pretty much a liberal university, correct?
Extremely liberal.
Okay,
A lot
extremely
of people
liberal.
talk to me.
But you managed to stay conservative throughout that time.
Yes.
Okay, you were president of your class, first woman president for 4 years.
4 years. I'm still
Right.
actually president.
Still actually
alumni
president. Okay.
president. So
So you're making a point. When I grew up, my whole family was Democrat because they were the party of the blue collar worker. They were the party that allegedly cared about the people, and I think they were back then, you know. But this dramatic and drastic switch that has occurred, it seemed like it just snuck up on us. I don't even know how it happened.
I think Obama was the instigator.
Yes.
You know, he kind of forced his image of America on the rest of us, rammed it right down our throats. And you see Michael, oh my gosh, I almost said Michael.
Yes.
It was such a Freudian slip.
Well, I hope, do you have any insight into that, by the way?
Everyone asks me that all the time.
Because it's like, is it?
Hey, I understand why people have their concerns.
Yes.
But putting that aside for the time being, I just love how she thought she was going to start a YouTube sensation like you did. You're running a little empire, I think, with 2 million followers.
Yes.
I think she had like 14,000 last time I checked or
that's
something like that.
embarrassing.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
very
This is the former first lady we're talking about.
Right.
But she and her husband were very keen on elevating DEI versus merit, you know, giving people who didn't really work their way, but because they had the right skin color, they elevated them. So I think he set the standard, and the party has been lurching leftwards ever since. And of course, Bernie Sanders accelerated that with his socialism. I mean, it's just awful, man. And I fought a war against the Bernie Bros 5 years ago, and they canceled me over that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been fighting the left flank for as long as I can. And I don't think I actually was moving to the conservative side. I think I've been on the conservative side, but I seem extremely far right now because the party is so left.
Yeah, and you know, I had made this suggestion recently, and I think this would be appropriate. The progressives, as part of that party, should break off and become their own party, because they're not in line with, I believe, mainstream Democrats that are pretty much centrist. They're not extreme like this, at least the people that I know. And I have many Democratic friends, and they're also appalled with the way the progressives are acting.
Yeah, though I think I'm too conservative for even the mainstream Democrats because I'm very strong on immigration. I don't think that we should be extending asylum willy-nilly. I think you should work for your rightful place in America. No one deserves to be here. My family worked, we worked our asses off to be here. My dad was a medical doctor. Now he's in real estate. We created hundreds of American jobs. We never took a single handout. And now you have these people just like rushing across the border, expecting everything, expecting to be put up in a hotel every night. There's cash cards. Why are we paying for them? Why aren't we paying for Americans?
But isn't that the sensible approach?
But no, I'm labeled a bigot and a racist for saying all
I
this.
understand that, but What's the motive, in your view, what's the motive behind opening up our borders and allowing all these immigrants
I'm going to
to
say
come in?
something that they're really going to nail me
Say
for,
it.
but let's
Oh,
say the
I'll
truth.
probably agree with you, but say it. Well,
So
they'll
they
nail
say,
us together.
let's get now.
Yes.
So the great replacement theory, they say that's completely wrong. It's neo-Nazi, it's white nationalist. But why are they trying so hard to pour these migrants into these cities, these battleground states, and then register them to vote? They're just doing it for no reason.
No, there is a reason.
There is a reason because
Absolutely.
they want to solidify their power for generations.
100%.
And they are not Americans. The people coming in are not Americans.
Lindy, I've said that from day one. I've said,
But now we're neo-Nazis.
yeah, we're neo-Nazis. I said it from day one. There's only one reason to do this. They want to register them all to vote, and they never want to be out of power again. They want to
Exactly.
turn every state blue.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other rational reason for this.
Just like California,
Yeah.
to make the entire country like California.
There's no other rational reason. You get a guy like Biden who claims he was a humanitarian, he said. And meanwhile, you know, he's got people being killed. I believe this. He has more blood on his hands than any president ever, in my lifetime at least. Because this guy, you know, and I have to say this, you know, I'm a conservative Christian myself, but I have to go home at night and pray when Biden was in office not to hate him. Because I've seen him destroying our country. Basically, he's got blood on his hands. He was just, you know, he didn't care about people in their communities and their neighborhoods. And I've always said this, look, I came from a criminal lifestyle, but in our neighborhoods, there was no crime.
Mm-hmm.
People that we cared about, you're not going to mess with them. And I feel this guy just didn't care about anybody here.
Yeah, Michael, you're right. I also want to say, though, I don't think, it's not a matter of thinking. Biden wasn't running the show.
Okay.
I know that we want to pin all the evil deeds on him, but it wasn't him because he didn't have the mental faculties to run the show. And I know because I was there. It was people like Steve Ricchetti, Mike Donnellan, Anita Dunn, and Jeff Zients. They were the running the show. And he was essentially a puppeteer signing everything. Like we know now he was using the auto pen.
Auto pen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, he bears responsibility. I mean, the original sin was deciding to run at all, and then to run again was just obscene. But these people tried so hard to cling to power and tried so hard to keep Biden in office even after the debate because they wanted to continue as the president. They were the presidents. We had like a council of presidents. And I want to make that abundantly clear to the nation because I still, most people don't know that.
Well, I think people are seeing it now. I take a harder point of view on that, and I agree with everything you said, but I think it was so irresponsible of him, and I don't have empathy for him. I don't, and maybe that's wrong, but you know, as another man, I just can't see somebody taking an oath to the highest position in the world, really, and saying they're there for the benefit of the people that voted for them, and then just act the way he acted. I mean, I have no empathy for him in that.
Yeah.
You know, he's so irresponsible. He should have never allowed that to happen, but he did, and you're right. There was the staff members and his people running the country.
And you know who else? His wife, Lady McBiden. Is she, you know, I have to be honest, Michael. In every single interaction that I had with Joe Biden, and there were many, and I introduced him to my family, he was always kind. I have to give him credit for, you know, I have to, and I'm sorry, I can't deny that.
He was kind to you and respectful to you.
Always. I'm sorry, I wish I had something else to say, but this is everything I'm telling you is from my heart, and he's always kind. But that is not the vibe I got from Jill Biden at all.
Really?
I felt used. I mean, I felt I was treated like a cash cow. Well, I raised like millions of dollars from the DNC and everything. And I felt used and discarded. You know, I was basically another wallet. That was and I think having grown up in a tumultuous environment, I think I pick up on body cues very well. And that was the sense that I got from her. I just didn't, I don't think she really treated me like a human being.
And she never appreciated all the dollars that you raised?
No, I don't think so.
And let me ask you this, I'm curious, you know, how did you make all these contacts to be able to raise all this money?
The thing that people keep asking, but these are literally my friends and family. I just ask them, like people that I worked with at Morgan Stanley. I used to be an investment banker. And then I hate to say that, like, I come from an affluent background. A lot of my friends also happen to be wealthy. And so
So they put their confidence in you.
They did.
when you
They did.
told
They
them.
call themselves Lindycrats, not Democrats, because a lot of them are conservative. They're business people. They want a stable economy. And so I've shifted many of them to the RNC right now. They're also sick of the trans and the men and women's sports insanity. These people just want a stable and prosperous America. They don't want any of the DEI stuff. They just don't. It's way too extreme for them.
Well, let me ask you a question. Now that you've realized what was going on there and switched parties, because you're now, would you consider yourself a conservative Republican at this point?
Absolutely. Yeah, I already switched. Yeah.
So these people, were they easily able to switch also?
It wasn't even a hard sell. It wasn't even a hard sell because we were complaining the entire time of the campaign, like, what the hell's going on with these people? Like, what the hell's like, it was, first it was, can Biden really run? Like, what is he thinking? But we don't really have a choice. It wasn't a hard sell. I think all it took was a nudge, and they were. So the Democrats, they are in such dire straits, and the former chair is still attacking me every single week. He's such a sad, sad man. I'm writing a book. His name is Jamie Harrison. I'm calling him Jamie Fireson. He is just like he's a guy who raised $60 million to run against Lindsey Graham and lost. Yet they elevated him to the chair of the party. And he spends this is a grown man, almost double my age, spending his days attacking me for exposing him for covering up Biden's age. You really have nothing better to do with your time? You don't want to spend time with your family? Instead, he's on X obsessing over me. I never respond, but it's just so sad and pathetic.
Yeah, you shouldn't respond to that. And I noticed there's a fellow by the name of Raymond Martin. I think
Roland Martin.
Roland Martin, yeah. You were on his podcast.
I wasn't on. He just does like 4 episodes about me.
Oh, is that what he did?
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, he was very disingenuous because I watched it. I wanted to watch it. And he kept calling you a liar. But you never lied. You never lied.
I literally am asking. I keep asking him, what do you think I lied about?
Well, and I'm saying that, and I would say something. You never lied. Okay, what he was trying to then call you a flip-flop. And my response to him, well, look at all the people now that are flip-flopping after they lose the election and decide that, what was going on before wasn't correct. But he was very disingenuous. He lied, actually, about you. You never lied through that interview.
You know what? Do you know why President Trump won? Because millions of people changed their minds.
Yeah.
So are you calling tens of millions of Americans pathological liars?
Exactly.
Or are you calling them having the grace and humility to realize they were wrong and they changed their minds?
Yes. Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, thank God. John Maynard Keynes, I can't believe this boring economist said, when faced with new facts, you should have the courage to change your mind.
Exactly.
Abraham Lincoln said something similar as well. We would be in deep trouble if no one ever changed their minds.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with, I always say this, respectful disagreement. I tell people all the time, you have a respectful disagreement with me, you should voice it. I mean, that's what this country was built upon. That's why we have 2 parties. People have said to me, would you want to eliminate the Democratic Party? Of course not. We shouldn't have one party. We should have a multi-party system in this country for diversification of ideas. I totally agree with that. But you're right. And the problem with the party now is they're just doubling down. It shows you even more. They don't care about what the people say, what the people think.
They think they're taking a righteous stand by sticking up for men and women's sports. They think they're doing the right thing. They literally think they're being Jesus Christ in this situation.
But, I've never been around people like that, and you have. What motivates them? Why?
They literally think they're doing the right thing. Like, I get...
But Lindsay, how could they feel that way?
The current vice chair of the DNC is a guy named Malcolm Kenyatta, in addition to David Hogg. David Hogg, the guy who looks more anorexic than me.
Yes.
But the other guy is a guy named Malcolm Kenyatta. He sends me a party to some political fundraisers. It's like, politics with drag queens. And I was just like, me. Why do you think this would be up my alley? It's just like, they think that they are spreading the gospel of like drag queens and trans. They think they are elevating the minds of Americans.
But why are they doing that? Because here's the thing. This group of people, let me be kind, they're in the minority. There's no question about it. They also, the Democratic Party allegedly stands for women's rights, always talking about women. Well, how could they do the complete reverse and advocate for having men, transsexual men, compete against women? It makes no sense.
Because they think Tim McBride, is a woman. He's not. They think that he has every right to be a woman. I can't even say that with I'm sorry, I'm getting upset.
But they can't really believe that.
They really do. And the thing is, you said that you get along with their mainstream Democrats. You said at the top. The thing is, I can't even get along with them anymore because we had a top donor dinner 2 weeks before the election. They completely lied to us, by the way. They said that Kamala would win 3 to 4 battleground states. I mean, we all saw how that turned out. But they had Tim McBride speak at that dinner, and I was just sitting there thinking, oh my God. Like, this is 2 weeks before the election.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting next to the founder of Zillow, like extremely wealthy people, and they were applauding her. They really bought into it. And I was the only one sitting there thinking, I do not want any of this. I don't want to be a part. I actually left early. I went there for Josh Shapiro, who's the most moderate Democrat, actually, and also he appointed me commissioner of Pennsylvania, so I have a duty to show up for him.
Mm-hmm.
But Tim McBride was the headliner. It was just gross.
But don't they understand, politically it's not smart because this group of people, and they're in the extreme minority. But
they think, they really, this sounds nuts, but they really think that it doesn't matter what Americans think. This is just the right thing to do.
So in your experience, they really don't care about the American people, which is it's just so crazy because it's the American people that they have to depend upon to stay in office or to be in office.
They think that they're standing against the Nazis. We are the Nazis, they think. They really think
So this is the mentality they really have?
They think that. And some of the top donors, like millionaires, think this. So the rot isn't just at the grassroots level. It's like all the way to the top, too.
All right, let me ask you another thing. Other than this social things that they're always talking about, did they have any plan or agenda whatsoever for this country to counter what Trump is doing now? Because I notice now, I'm very into it like you are, all they ever do is go anti-Trump. They have no solutions, they have no plan, they have no agenda, they have nothing.
They have nothing. Absolutely nothing. The leader of the party is a guy named Ken Martin. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Exactly. This is the chair of the party right now. This is the head honcho. And the Bidens want to get back in, which is how bad it is. And Kamala she's trying to be your governor now. I have a book coming out this fall, which will be a searing indictment on her. And hopefully will put an end to any. But if she wants to be the governor of this state, Newsom screwed this up so badly. I hope you weren't. Were you impacted by the fires?
No, we weren't. A lot of friends were, because we're about 40 miles south of that. A lot of friends that we know were, but we weren't, no.
But the way that they mishandled that was unforgivable. And now she wants to be governor, and Tim Walz is thinking about running for president. These people just don't get it.
He's a lunatic.
He's an absolute lunatic.
Did you meet him?
Not only did I meet him, I mean, she invited me to be there at her announcement on August 6th in Philadelphia. I was in the VIP line, and I'm pretty sure he gave me COVID because I felt completely sick for like 2 weeks. I was the sickest I've ever been. I had to get I don't have asthma, but I had to get an inhaler. I couldn't breathe. So I mean, that just did not move.
From him.
Somebody in that room is either Fetterman or Shapiro or Jasmine Crockett or some other dude. I don't even know. Somebody in that room had COVID.
Gosh.
I didn't walk in with COVID, so I got desperately sick.
And what was your impression of Waltz?
I try to be nice. I try to give everyone a benefit of the doubt because I was in a cult. I wanted to think kindly of everybody. That's always my mentality. But then I realized, wow, this guy's a pathological liar. Who would say that they were in Tiananmen Square when they were actually in Nebraska? Why would anyone in God's name think that would be an okay thing to say? It's not even Shanghai versus Tiananmen. It was like Nebraska versus...
Exactly. What was the rationale behind choosing him versus
Well, I know
Shapiro?
exactly what it is.
Okay.
Because Harris was intimidated by Josh Shapiro, who is obviously better than her. I mean, everyone is better than her.
Yeah, Shapiro's a smart guy.
He is a smart guy.
Yeah. But was that really her pick? Or because was she influenced by
There is a
anyone?
puppeteer behind the scenes by a guy named Tony West, who is her brother-in-law. He's worth $60 million. He's the chief legal officer of Uber. So Uber actually had a huge influence on that campaign because guess who else was running that campaign? David Plouffe, Obama's guy,
Right.
who also works for Uber.
Wow.
So
So-
Uber actually had its tentacles on the entire campaign.
And it was them that influenced her to pick Walz?
Exactly. Tony ran the VP selection process.
So I have to come to the conclusion, these are not very bright people
Absolutely not.
at all.
No, no, no. And who else? You know who else was involved in that process? Eric Holder. Remember who he was?
Yeah,
He was
Eric Holder.
Obama's attorney
Yeah.
general. Obama helicoptered his loyalists in. He was really running for his fourth term.
Did he want Harris? Because, you know, we've heard a lot of mixed things that he didn't really want her.
He didn't
but-
really want her. But
So-
he was stuck with her and had to make the best of it.
So is what we're hearing about Biden picking her out of spite? Is
Oh,
that,
I know that's true, yeah.
it is true.
It's true, but also James Clyburn asked him to.
Really?
James Clyburn, Biden owes everything to James. Without James, his presidency wouldn't have happened because he came in 5th place in New Hampshire and he bombed in Iowa and he was on the verge of political death. But then, you know, everyone rallied behind him. Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, who I think is an asshole, by the way. But like,
He-
I rarely say someone is an asshole, but that team is just extremely.
Well, and now I understand he wants to run for president.
He
again.
certainly wants to run for president.
I'm telling you, I am such at a loss. I just look back, trying to be a rational person. I'm a business guy myself, and I say, how do these people make these decisions, realizing it's a losing proposition? Everything that they're bringing forward, they really have to, like you said, take I don't know what kind of look they have at the American people. They think they're as crazy as them. Yeah, I don't understand it. Yeah, and I've said, you know what? They should break away if they think they will appeal to a certain sector of people. Take these progressives, AOC and Bernie and all of these guys, let them become their own party and see how well they fare, and eventually they'll go away. And let the smart Democratic people that I grew up with and hopefully still exist, some of them, I know I have friends, let it be the party that it once was. Because, you know, I'm older than you, Lindsay, a lot older.
You're not 25?
No, no. But you know what? There was a time with Democrats and Republicans, there wasn't that much difference between the two parties.
Even like 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that much difference, you know, and you never had this extreme anger with every back and forth.
That's what I mean. That's how I grew up. People ask me how I was a Democrat. That's the reason.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't that much different.
Yeah, and I tell you, that I said this many times, we used to, you know, on the street, we were more Democrats because they were easier to corrupt back then, the politicians. They were always on the take.
Exactly.
They were always on the take. So easy. And the Republicans were the law and order, so we stayed away from them. You know, that's how criminals thought back then.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's still that way to a large degree. But, you know, I don't.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is something I've never said on air. You ready for this?
Yes.
I know for a fact that the Kamala and Biden campaigns were essentially selling ambassadorships. Like, you give this much, we'll put you down for such and such country. I know that. I've spoken with top donors. I have it on text. People were promised countries. Like, you raise $2 million, you give $1 million for this, we'll give you like Finland.
Doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
I want to get back to something. Joe Biden. All of this, and I'll put it to you this way. The investigation that the RNC, what's his name, Comer did on him with respect to his treasonous, I call that dealings, between him and Hunter and his family, all the information that they've uncovered between the text messages, the suspicious bank records, the money coming into their accounts, the whistleblowers, there's more evidence to at least indict them under the RICO Act. And I had 3 RICO.
So you would know.
Yeah. Oh, I had 3.
you.
I had to defend myself 3 times. There was more evidence against them to indict them for RICO.
Then for you.
They go to trial, innocent until proven guilty, than there was in any one of my cases. He is an absolute, what they did is treasonous. This is another reason why I look at him and said, this guy sold out his country. And he did it while he was vice president, while he had all his faculties, or at least most of them back then, before he became president. And they whitewashed this too. What kind of people are these that sit back and allow their country to be undermined like this, and to have somebody in power that was treasonous and they covered it up? You know, and Lindsay, these are bad people.
Yeah,
They're
and
bad people.
you're totally right. And on top of that, he used his drug addict son as his
Yes.
bag man. Like he was his errand boy essentially.
Yeah, and you know what? His son, the reason he supported him, because he was complicit in his son's activities. It wasn't like his son did this and didn't know what he was doing. He was complicit. He was taking money as a result of that. And you know what else, Lindsay? What is this? I don't even know what to call it. They just lie and lie and lie and lie, and they don't even care anymore. I've never witnessed anything like this. And you're speaking to a guy that was on the street with some people that would do almost anything. They just lie continuously. They don't care who sees them. They don't care about their image. It's terrible.
Exactly. And anytime you call Biden out, you're excommunicated, destroyed, discredited, defamed. You're not allowed to point at any of the holes. You just can't. And even when Biden was clearly, his brain was melting in front of the entire world, no one was allowed to say a single thing. We all had to pretend. And I'm sorry, but I also pretended. I'm sorry. I wish I didn't, but I felt I had no choice.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would have been.
I mean, look what they did to me now. My parents have been threatened.
You got death threats?
My parents got death threats. Well, they threatened to kill me, but they sent the death threats to my family because they knew their address. I live in a skyrise. They can't reach me, so they reach my parents instead. Who live in a home. Have you heard of Frank Palumbo, the gangster out in Philadelphia?
Yes.
My parents live in his old home.
In his old home? Well, that might protect him a little bit. Who knows?
But no,
might
it's
give
a very
people
famous
pause.
house.
Yeah.
It's
So
very
there's
famous.
connection there.
Yep.
It's. I have come to the conclusion that these are very bad, evil people.
Yeah.
Evil people. The way they've conducted themselves, the way they
So
lie.
evil.
Yeah, they're bad people.
And the way that they defamed me is so bad. It's so
And how are you
bad.
holding
It's
up to
wrecked
all
my
this?
soul. It's been so bad, Michael.
Hmm?
But the thing is, I also have to be completely honest here. There are lunatics. Well, there's one lunatic on the right. I don't want to name names because I don't want it to happen to me again. But the things that they've called me
Hmm.
have been so obscene. I've had to hire a lawyer, Tim Parlatore, also a Python. He's great. He's Trump's lawyer, by the way.
Hmm.
Because the defamation was so extreme.
Really?
Yeah, I've also never said this because the thing is, like, people say, every time I mention something like this, they say I'm playing the victim, but when I'm stating the facts, how is that playing the victim when I'm just telling you what happened? I'm not asking for your sympathy. I'm a strong chick. I can handle it. I'm clearly fine. But it doesn't negate the fact that it happened to me. In the middle of February, there was a cancel campaign against me for the crime of telling the truth. I didn't do anything other than tell the truth. But there are some figures on the right who think I skipped the line, and the people on the left think that I exposed them. So both sides were angry at me. There were a few days when I was just coughing up blood because I was under so much strain. I didn't know how to stop it. I think I have like clotting issues. So I had a bowl next to my bed because in the middle of the night, I would just have to spit it out. You can't swallow it. Just gross to smell, to swallow it. And it took like 2 or 3 days for my throat to clot or whatever was happening. I have no idea what was going on. I still, to this day, I don't know what happened. But I was under so much strain. And every few hours, I'd brace myself for another attack. It was really bad. Really bad. And even today, I think we don't have to go in, but I have PTSD from my childhood. Some weird shit happened to me. But I've had psychologists who've watched my interviews saying that you're like a walking case of PTSD. And it's fine. Again, I'm not asking for anyone's sympathy.
No,
I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that people on the left will destroy you for pointing out any flaws in the party. And there's some people on the left who are upset and want me to wait in line because I don't know. I'm not trying to take anything from anybody either. So I think it's a little bit of a overreaction on their part. But such is
Well,
life.
when you say wait in line, what do you mean they want you to
They
wait?
think that I'm trying to get a job in the Trump administration, which I don't. There's no way I would ever work in the government, but they just make up these fantasies about me trying to get close to Trump. I don't want any of that. I
Well,
just
they
want
lie all
my
the
life.
time. They absolutely lie all the time. These, I've been saying to my people, because what I'm concerned about is not only these 4 years, but the next 4 years. And I come up a certain way. Somebody lies to you once, all right, things happen. Second time, you start to get a little crazy. Third time, I mean, how many times are you going to lie to somebody and keep a relationship with them? And what I keep telling people is they've been lying to us consistently. They lied to us for 4 years about a president that wasn't really the president. They've lied to us about everything. You can never trust these people again. Because I'm worried about, look, my fear is I have 7 children, I have 7 grandchildren, we have more on the way. I'm worried about the future of our country for them. I'm not worried about myself. I'm going to survive no matter who's in office, It doesn't matter to me. But I'm worried about the future of our country because I happen to love this country and I love my kids. So I'm worried about setting it up for the future. And you cannot trust people that consistently lie to you.
Yeah.
And the problem with Americans, maybe it's across the world, I don't know, is we tend to forget. Like you have, our governor now, who's now got his own podcast and trying to go mainstream because he wants to run for president. But if people are going to forget the horrendous job that he did here, that people died in fires because this guy was, wasting money and not doing what he was supposed to do and all worried about, fighting Trump and supporting Biden when he knew Biden was, had dementia. You can never forget these
Exactly.
things.
Not only did he support Biden, he was the #1 surrogate. He was
Yeah,
the strongest advocate for him out there.
exactly. But my fear is people are going to forget. He's going to have 2 or 3 years. You're going to try to
That's why
move
we
to the.
need you. We need people like you.
We
And
have to.
we have to keep telling
And
people.
yourself.
Yeah, that's actually why I keep doing this. I have a vested interest in keeping Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom and Pete Buttigieg out of office. I know them better than anybody.
Lindy, I will support you 1,000%. I would be very vocal about it because, like I said, I'm going to be 74 years old. What are they going to do to me? But I have kids and grandchildren I'm really concerned about. If Kamala Harris would have become president, and I've said this country was done. We could not take another 4 years of the mess that they created. It's that serious in my view. And I have no reason to make this up or say, I don't know Trump. He doesn't do anything for me. I'm worried about my country. One thing Donald Trump said all along, what they did to that man was absolutely horrible. I've never seen vengeance like this. To come after somebody the way they did. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to put him in jail. They tried to kill him. There's something psychotic about this, Like, is this? And I often said this. I look back. I even talked to friends that knew him. Was this guy really a devil that we don't know about? What did Trump do? Did he rape children? What did he do that there's such venom? I know what he did. He didn't go along with these people. He don't care about them. He wants to stop the gravy train and drain the swamp. And that's what's killing them. That's it.
Yeah, remember back in the day when he actually extended kindness to Hillary Clinton and Nancy
Yes.
Pelosi? He donated to Kamala's campaign.
Yes. I
And
know.
suddenly he's now like, it's just.
Lindy, they loved him at one point when he was on The Apprentice, and they loved this guy. And I grew up in New York, Ron. I know the guy. I know about him well. I don't know him well. I know about him well. They loved him. All of a sudden, he runs for president and really wants to help the country, and they turn on him. People are not seeing this. And that's why we have to be vocal about it, because we got to protect our country and our children and the future of this country. It's that serious. I believe and I've told her we would have been dead. Kamala Harris gets into office, we're finished. We're absolutely finished, because we couldn't take another 4 years of what they did between the open borders, this insanity, and they lie about it, is gender-affirming surgery, which is mutilation in children. How could
Thank you for calling it what it is.
It's mutilation,
It's
period.
absolute mutilation.
And I've listened to some of these poor kids that were, and then you want to take the parents away from making decisions?
That's what made Elon go.
Yes. This isn't, because he's what, 13 kids? I mean, whatever he
14
has.
now, actually.
14. But I mean, it's insanity. These people are insane. And if we don't keep talking about it and putting it in normal people's minds, people don't go along with this. It's just like, you know, we have better insight. You are on the inside. I've been around. I'm watching these people blow up Teslas. These are not people that just woke up and say, I'm going to blow up a Tesla. There's money behind this. There's
Michael,
people supporting them.
George Soros and those people, and they're like, oh, you can't mention George Soros because it's anti-Semitic. But guess what? He's actually the guy spending millions on the Sunrise Movement. He just poured $4 million into the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. He is the money. So it's their shield. We're not allowed to criticize them because everything we say is anti-Semitic all of a sudden. It's a misuse of the term. But I'm actually, you know, if I were to describe myself, I would just say I'm a conservative environmentalist. For people to blow up Teslas, so-called Democrats, the party of climate change, to do that is just the height of hypocrisy. It breaks my heart.
Well, these people are cannibals. They eat up their own positions when it benefits them. They've been for electric cars for how long? And now all of a sudden they're going after the main provider of electric cars.
And women's rights.
And women's rights, you know, and now even Chuck Schumer, I mean, I just watch them cannibalize themselves. And it makes no sense to me. And I'm trying to be rational and say, you know, I really want to understand people's positions. I just can't make sense of this.
They literally think they're doing the right thing. I
have a hard time believing that. How could they believe they're doing the right thing?
They really do. They think they really think that inclusivity and like Black is God, and they really do.
All right, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Rational person. We're $36 trillion in debt in this country. $36 trillion. Taxpayers didn't cause that. We're giving them the money. It's government irresponsibility that caused that, okay? So now you have a guy that's coming in that says, okay, we can show where the government waste is. We can show where it's abused. He's trying to clean it up, and they hate him for it. It can only mean one thing. They're on the take, they're benefiting from it, and that's it. So they're admitting that they're thieves. They're admitting that they're frauds.
That's totally right. There's also a segment of the population who thinks that we have a duty to help people in Africa or whatever. My point of view is, can we please help the people in America
first? Yes. You know, it's like you're in an airplane. But if you need oxygen, what do they say?
Nazis, Michael. It's another neo-Nazi point. We're not allowed to say that. It's just so crazy. America first, in their eyes, is a racist ideology. For me, I love my country, okay? It's a patriotic thing to do to take care of our people first. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for that. I care about Americans first and foremost.
Of course.
And it's just, yeah, you're not allowed to say you don't want to fund transgender operas in Europe, wherever that was.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you know what I've realized when I saw what's being exposed, you know, with this government abuse and waste and all the DEI agenda that they're promoting around the world? I'm saying, okay, they don't only want to impact this country, they want to destroy the nuclear family, and they want to make that a worldwide agenda. Because there's no other reason for them, you know, promoting DEI in countries that, Trump said, well, I never even heard of this country. You know, some of them that he was talking about. Why would they do something like that if they weren't getting money back and they weren't trying to impose this philosophy?
And also branching off of what you just said, which is totally true, countries like Japan want to be homogenous as possible. They want to keep their country Japanese. But for us, to want to close our borders, suddenly we're racist. Ooh.
Exactly.
You know, why can't America, we're not even saying we want to be like all white. We just want to close, we just want to have strong borders to vet everyone that comes in. We don't want terrorists in our country. But we're not allowed to do that because we'll be racist.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, what's his name? The head of the FBI that just left. I forget his name.
Chris Wray.
Yeah, Chris Wray. Gets on national TV several times and says, we have terrorist cells in this country that have come in, and it's imminent. Something is going to happen. We don't know when. When they're telegraphing that to everybody, and people are still saying, well, it's okay to keep the borders open. That's insanity.
Yeah.
I don't even understand that. And Chris Wray was no fan of Donald Trump, obviously.
Yeah.
So he's telling the American people, and he's telling the people on the left that we have terrorists in this country. And he doesn't know who they all are. And an attack is not when, or not if, it's when. And they still want to keep the borders open. To me, that's insanity.
I'm honestly, Michael, I'm probably so far right on immigration, I'm off the charts. I'm
No,
speaking as a
with you.
naturalized immigrant. That's why I feel so strongly about it. Because my family and I waited years. We came the right way. We filled out the forms. We didn't take any handouts. We came with $200. We didn't need DEI to rise up through the ranks. We worked our asses off, okay? And also as an East Asian woman, I'm the demographic that's most dinged by the DEI stuff because we have the highest test scores. So I'm not a fan of any of this. But it's just heartbreaking to see people just jump the line when my parents, we were persecuted by the CCP. We didn't depend on asylum. We came here because of our skills. We brought useful things that America could benefit from.
Which is the way it's supposed to be.
We don't want parasites. We don't want leeches. I don't want, no one should be living off the American taxpayer. It's just not fair. We already, like you said, we're so much in debt.
And it's not only that, you were talking about, I have a tour going on in Australia next week, right? I've been to Australia probably 7 or 8 times in the past 10 years. Every time, my record is 30 plus years old. And I've been a reformed person since then, doing what I do. I still don't have my visa approved. I have to go through the same every single time. And I have a track record.
Even after you've been there so much.
I've been there 7, 8 times, always get approved, but they take me to the last minute. Last time I got approved on this huge tour was the day before I was ready to leave. We always thought we had to cancel the whole tour.
Wow.
And now I'm supposed to leave on Monday. I still don't have my visa. So, but I'm saying I did everything the right way.
Yeah.
I didn't
Meanwhile,
sneak
people are
it.
just like waltzing through the
Just walking the country.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they justify that. Yeah, yeah. Do you know that? I've been going to Canada my whole life.
And same process.
Same exact process, only better because my conviction is further removed. And I have more references, and I have people. I have the wealthiest person in Canada, one of the world, Jimmy Pattison, a good friend of mine. He's worth billions of dollars, okay? A good friend of mine. I've appeared with him in places. The last time I went to immigration, they wouldn't let me in. And I said, why? My track record, my conviction is even further removed. It's 30 some odd years.
You're one of the most well-known, famous, like, born-again cases in the world.
Yeah. They just decided arbitrarily, that group that night decided they didn't want to let me in. And I go through the same process.
What a slap in the face that criminals can just, like, come in.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you are having a hard
And Lindsay,
time.
they didn't even care that we had tours set up with people coming and everything. They didn't care about their own people. Caused them financial ruin and everything because of that. Because they had a whole thing set up and I couldn't, and they wouldn't let me in.
So are you on tenterhooks right now, just waiting?
Well, with yeah, I mean, we have I think 6 states in Australia, and and a lot of money was spent, and a lot of tickets were sold. And as of this moment, I'm supposed to leave Monday, and I don't have my visa. And then the problem with that, the host that's bringing me over, the airfare keeps going up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they don't care. But the point is, I'm doing it the right way, regardless.
Exactly. But you shouldn't have to because you've proven yourself over and over again.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, these criminals are just marching through. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
It's such a double standard.
And they think it's okay. And that's why I'm saying, you've said it, and I've agreed with you. You said it, I said, okay, this is a cult. This is like a religion.
It is
These progressives are religion.
Totally, because they have no religion. They don't have this.
Yeah.
They just don't have religion.
They have no
Work is
sensible
their
values.
God.
Let me ask you, how have you been accepted by the people in the Trump administration now? Anybody specifically? How have you been accepted by them?
Lara saw me getting bullied.
Mm-hmm.
She swooped right in and had me on her show. It was so kind of her. Lara Trump.
Yes.
She's been amazing. RNC co-chair has been amazing. Casey Crosby. It's just, I'm not even looking for anything. People think I'm doing this for favor. I don't need anything from the administration. I'm not looking for a job. I don't have to, honestly, I hate to say this, but I'm not in it for money. I don't have to work a single day of my life. My family owns a lot of real estate. I can just cruise. So
So what motivates you?
This is to not leave an impact on this world would be devastating. I know you would feel the same way.
Yeah.
A mediocre life, it would be a condemnation. It would be it would be a cross to bear.
Well, so you have skills and you have ability and you're intelligent, obviously,
This is
self-made
what we were
person.
born to do.
Yeah, and so you want to contribute.
This is just the way, this is the way it's got to be. There's no other choice. I know you feel the same way because I see it in you and your beautiful wife. This is what we were put on this earth to do. And I realize more and more that we are on borrowed time.
Hmm.
And honestly, love is all that matters in making an impact. There's really nothing else.
Do you think that, sensible people will win this battle? Because when I see them now on the left doubling down, going against the will of the people, Donald Trump said something, he said this consistently, and he's so right. When he got up there during his campaign, he said, they're not doing this to me. They're doing this to all of you. And he was so right in saying that, because whatever they do to him has far more impact on us.
Right.
And that's the scary thing.
In the way that they hate us.
Yeah.
I've been abandoned by all of my friends. All of my friends.
And have you had the opportunity to reason with them or talk sensibly with them?
No, I mean, a lot of them, I realize, it's almost like I go through the people that I follow on Instagram and I realize, wow, this person unfollowed me, this person unfollowed me, this person blocked me. Like people that I thought were my friends, just no explanation. They just,
Are these people involved in any way in politics or just friends?
even just normal people. Um, yeah, I was banned from the Biden White House just for asking money about, I was the one who exposed the Oprah. They spent $2.5 million on Oprah. I was the one who
God.
spoke up about that. So that got me banned from the White House. I used to have like an open invitation. I got banned by the Naval Observatory as well. I used to hear from members of Congress and senators on a daily basis, mostly because they wanted my money.
Mm-hmm.
But I only heard from one person. She was actually really nice. She's Grace Mang. She said, I know we're on separate teams now, but I just wanted to say Happy New Year. That was the only thing I've ever heard from that side.
Let me ask you, going back to that, so Oprah lied. I never got
Totally
a penny,
lied.
but it was obviously her production company.
She definitely got paid. I mean, we have the paperwork. I don't know why she keeps saying she does. We literally have the paperwork. Like sometimes people lie and there's no proof. We literally have the proof in this case. So why do you keep lying?
Because she figures it'll never come out, that's all. Beyonce?
She was definitely paid. Yeah. She herself, all these people have production companies.
Yeah.
So I guess they can say like
I never
their
got it
name.
personally.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was their company, yeah.
They all got paid. No one did it from their kindness of their hearts. Even Cardi B got paid.
She did. So nobody really supported Kamala Harris from the heart. They supported her because there was something in it for them.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure like Obama was even like Obama was compensated through his production company.
God. Like he needed the money, right?
But these people, they're such cheapskates,
Is it really all about the money with them?
Have you seen his little island on Martha's Vineyard? I mean,
Heard of it, but haven't seen it, no.
it's just in his 60-year birthday party. It was just like extravaganza. He's living large. And we hear that his marriage is on the rocks.
Have you heard
hear
that?
about the Jennifer Aniston
You have any inside information about that?
Their marriage is on the rocks,
It
but I
is.
can't confirm. I can't confirm the Jennifer thing. I don't know if that's happening for sure, but because Craig Robinson, Michelle Obama's brother, went to Princeton. I went to Princeton.
Oh,
We ended up having lunch, and it took me the entire lunch to realize it was her brother because he just introduced himself as Craig. And he's not a famous face. I didn't realize it was him.
that's the one she's doing the podcast with.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can tell from her talk that there's trouble in paradise.
Also,
there,
did you
no
see?
doubt.
I hate to go down this, but did you see her hair? It's like 3 knots. Like that stuff is important because it signifies to the American people, like, are you with it or not? Like, are you on the same planet or not?
You're right.
And she clearly isn't. She's still living on planet DEI.
But let me ask you this. I was shocked that she drew so little an audience on her podcast because I thought the Obamas, wow, they're just still in the eyes of the left.
Dead man. Oh, here's something that I also haven't said. So although I'm no longer part of the DNC donor class, I still have ears. People are so pissed at Obama. Not only are they pissed at Obama, they're pissed at Obama world. I
Why?
mean, because who made the money? Okay, billions of dollars were wasted, but it must have gone into somebody's pocket.
Of
And
course.
where did that go? It went to 4 Democratic firms. And who are they run by? They're run by Obama veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bully Pulpit International, that's run by Obama veterans. And you had the Pod Save America Bros. They're all Obama veterans. And who was running Kamala's campaign? Jen O'Malley Dillon, who lied to us. These are all Obama people. Who was David Plouffe?
Mm-hmm.
The person who ran Obama's campaign. So the donor class is so pissed at the entire Obama world. They hold Obama responsible.
They do.
They finally do. They finally do. And that's why they're having such a hard time raising money. And I'm proud to have been a part of that.
Mm.
They are now seen in the eyes of the American people as frauds. And if that is my legacy, I think I've done my part, because they are frauds. And the way that they've come after me for simply calling them out for it. Like, what have I done really? I call them out for the mismanagement of the funds,
Mm-hmm.
and I call them out for hiding Biden's cognitive decline. And I didn't just call them out after election. I raised it a year, 2 years in advance. I had dinner with Ken Martin, the current chair,
Mm-hmm.
in September of 2023. I had the receipts. I had the pictures. I had Wendell Pierce, the guy from The Wire.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? The guy who went Schiff?
Yes,
That guy.
yes, that
He
guy.
was standing to my left. My brother, 24-year-old my brother, was standing to my right. I was speaking with Ken. I was like, what are we going to do? Like, Biden, don't you think he's a little... Like, I can't remember my exact wording, but the gist of my statement is, don't you think he's a little not with it?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, don't worry about it. He's totally fine. This is September 2023. We were in Chicago. Kamala Harris was joining us for dinner that night. He lied to me and told me it was fine and made me feel like I was stupid. I was actually questioning my own, like, judgment.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this guy seems so sure. I must be wrong.
Mm. Yeah, no.
And everyone is echoing the same thing. So I was serious. That's why it took me so long, because it made me question my sanity. Like, how could I be the only one? And even I was invited to join Biden at the debate. I was texting my best friend. I was like, is it me, or can you not hear him?
Mm.
I was like, am I losing my mind, or is the guy like falling apart on stage?
Yeah, it was such a horrible
Because
display.
in the cult, you have to understand, they are feeding you daily, every day, with a different reality. It takes so much to walk out of it.
Mm. No, I can imagine that.
And that's why I didn't even come out immediately. It took me weeks and months. I was inching my way out. It took me, first I was criticizing, and then they excommunicated me. And the chair of the party attacked me on Christmas Eve when I was at the Nutcracker with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
He called me a narcissist because of the campaign expenditures, because I raised questions. I don't know why that makes me a narcissist.
I don't get that.
It has nothing to do with me. It's about campaign expenditures.
When did you first speak up publicly about this?
A year. Well, I went on Fox News because MSNBC wouldn't have me. They blackballed me.
No.
Because I used to be on MSNBC consistently
Mm-hmm.
until I started raising questions about Biden's age. And so after July 2024, other than one time at the DNC, I was never seen again on their airwaves. CNN wouldn't have me either. That's why I mean, Fox is a great network, but I was stuck on Fox
Mm-hmm.
because no one else would have me. I raised questions, and I was really respectful about it. I wasn't even attacking him. I was like, it's time for him to step aside.
Because of what you've witnessed and what
Because of what, I had a front row seat to
Yeah.
everything.
And they just kept denying it and going along with what everybody did. Everybody in the party did.
Like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's a genius behind closed doors, but only behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And then Jen O'Malley Dillon lied to
Mhm.
me on a Zoom with a few other donors. This is the final straw for me. This is months before the election. She said, by the way, I'm a marathon runner. I'm relatively healthy. I do have some health issues, but she said, Biden's healthier than all of you.
Hmm.
We were on a call with like 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. And she had a straight face on. It wasn't like she was joking around. She honestly wanted us to believe it.
So they just
They fed us
It's
a
all
different
about-
reality. It's so hard to come out of that. And the people who attack me now for not coming out years before, I'm telling you, man.
Are they the donors that are, or
No, like people on the internet. My donors are my donors completely under you gotta bear in mind, my donors are my friends. Like they're my friends and family. They were my friends independent of politics. They were my friends first.
so did they realize that the wool was pulled over your eyes also?
All of us.
Did you?
All of us. Like the wool was all of us were fooled and lied to.
What was your, I have a couple of people I want to ask you about. Let me go to this first. Nancy Pelosi. Have you had any kind of contact with her?
Of course, yeah. I'm actually close with her son, Paul Pelosi.
Mm-hmm.
He's also, I'm a runner. He's also a runner.
He's a runner?
He's a runner. He's been applauding me.
Really?
Which I think, if Paul's watching this, I'm really surprised. Oh, thank you, Paul. But he's like, I'm really proud of what you're doing, which is so surprising to me because his mom is obviously a huge Democrat. I have something to say about Nancy. I heard what you said about
Please do it,
Pelosi.
because I have it in for her.
I watched I watched what you said about the Baltimore stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's true. 100% true. Verifiable without it. I don't say anything that I can't back up. 100% true.
If any, I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you. Also, shit really went down with her and Dianne Feinstein.
What do you mean?
Not only did she cover up Biden's cognitive decline, she was covering up Diane's cognitive decline. And people will know I'm telling the truth. Annette Blum, Richard Blum's daughter. Richard Blum was married to Dianne Feinstein. Annette is now in a lawsuit against Dianne Feinstein's daughter for the multi-billion-dollar estate. And Nancy was on the other side, basically exploiting Dianne. This is what Annette told me. So
I believe it.
it's literally in the court of law. So I'm saying also on air because Annette is a friend of mine and I'm sticking up for her. And Nancy is not what she pretends to be. Look at her stock record.
Here's what gets me. I'm a family person. My family comes first. And I look at it this way. You're 84 years old. You've been in power forever. As far as I'm concerned, I'll say it again, she robbed the American people with her, her trading. I'm lost at the word. Her insider trading, no doubt about it. She started with Visa. She did it 100%. You've made yourself a lot of money. Why don't you just go home and spend time with your family? What do you need to hang on to power for so long? But why?
I'm sure like seeing Hakeem Jeffries out there every day kills her. She wants to be
She wants to be there, but what do you need this for? There's something inside of these people. They just can't let it go.
You just can't let it go.
And the thing is, her constituents, she's elected from the people of San Francisco, and that city is falling apart, and she doesn't care. And people don't see this.
But you know what part of San Francisco isn't falling apart? Her estate.
Her neighborhood.
Exactly.
Her estate.
That one patch.
Exactly.
Everything else is crumbling.
Exactly. But, and this is what I'm telling people. She doesn't care about her own town, her own city. She's a Washington, D.C. person. The rain doesn't even hit a drop on her head. And she can't let it go at her age.
Especially after what happened to her husband because of her.
Yes, absolutely because of her. 100% because of her. And who knows the real story there? We never get to.
Right now, I'm like, with your gorgeous wife, I can even tell by the love between you two. If anything ever happened to you, she would be like putting her body on top of you, but not Nancy. Paul Pelosi Sr., his skull was literally fractured because of his wife, and she's still out there. I would be at home, just enjoy. They're both in their 80s. Just enjoy life. Let it go.
That's what I'm saying.
Become selfish.
And listen, I'll say the same thing about Mitch McConnell.
Oh my
what are you doing there?
Yeah.
You're not capable anymore. The time has passed you by. You've made I think he's worth $90 million. What more do you need in life?
He's actually worth more than that because of his wife.
Okay, so what more do you need? Go home. Don't you want to live out the last couple of years of your life with your family and enjoy your life? They can't let go. And this is both sides. I came from a life where power was, we were powerful people. But you know when to let it go. You know, look, if I could sit back right now and do nothing and just enjoy my family forever, I probably wouldn't do that because I feel like I can still make a difference. But
Also, 70, you're in your early 70s. It's a
yeah,
lot different from
yeah,
the
you know, but
80s.
what
And
I'm saying, there's going to be a point in time where, hey, my wife and I want to travel, we want to enjoy ourselves. I don't want any responsibilities, you know, but they just can't let it go. And I just cannot understand that.
I mean, Biden is the classic example. And every time I would be at VIP events with him, he would have teleprompters at VIP events. And then I would hold his hand to study him.
Really.
Oh, absolutely. These private events where everyone wanted him to succeed, not high pressure events
You know,
with like 10, 20 people and just waiting for him to finish the sentence, like cheering him on, waiting with bated breath.
well, you know, the most embarrassing thing after the debate for him, aside from the debate itself, when Joe grabbed his hand afterwards on national TV and says, "You answered every
Oh, I
question."
was
I
there.
was
I
like,
was
"Oh,
literally in the front row for that, Georgia. And then so what you didn't see was that people, I don't know if you saw the crowd, but it was like empty. The room was like empty because people were leaving. And we had signs. It said Georgia loves Joe to cheer him up. The president of the United States should be bucking up the American people. It shouldn't
right."
be the other way around. But it was like a senior home. We were trying to raise his spirits. And I was with him. He spoke on stage, but he came down and spoke with us, spoke with me. And I was felt so bad for him. I didn't even mention the debate. I just felt it was like it was sheer human pity. I just felt so bad for him because in that case, I couldn't even be mad at him because my eyes, it was clear elder abuse. I knew who was responsible for that. It was Jill.
Hmm.
Eh,
And do you think on her part, she didn't want to leave the White House? She
absolutely
just,
did not because she was basically the president. You saw her on the cover of Vogue just a
yeah.
few days afterwards.
Hmm.
She loved it. Joe stayed in that position. I mean, not only because he had been running for it his entire life, but also his wife wanted the trappings of power. And also, he wanted to keep his only surviving son out of prison. Those were the two reasons.
Do you think if it were up to him, he would have gracefully walked away if it wasn't for those two factors? You know, knowing him. In other words, if he didn't have to worry about his son and Jill wasn't that strong an influence on him, do you think he would have bowed out gracefully? Do you think he had it in him?
No,
No.
I'm going to be honest and say no. I think the only case in which he would have bowed out gracefully is if Beau Biden was still alive and Beau
Hmm.
Biden could run too. Yeah, and he really put all of his hopes in Beau. I actually here's also you know who threatened to sue me? I went on Sean Ryan and I listed the names out of the people who were running. It was the first time that anyone had listed out the names. Ashley Biden put on her Instagram story that she'd never met me before,
Hmm.
um, and that she was going to sue me for undisclosed reasons.
So
And
how do you sue somebody for undisclosed? You have to state the reason you're suing someone.
well, she was obviously angry. She said, "We had never met.
Mhm.
Is this, let me show you. I've never met you, right?"
Wow.
She said, I've never spoken to Lindy Li.
The whole family is
I have like
liars.
5 photos with her. I have texts, I have emails. She lives down the street from me in Rittenhouse Square, Philadelphia. And I'm just thinking, I spoke with my lawyer, Tim Palatori. He's like, them suing us would be the best thing ever.
Mm.
Because the case would be like, she's suing me for saying that Biden covered up his cognitive decline. The
Mhm.
discovery would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely. That
So
would have
we
been a
welcome
benefit to the American people.
exactly. He's
Yes.
like, come at us. Like,
Yeah.
please sue us,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, that would have been great.
But she took down the threat like 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but exactly.
Let me ask you, Adam Schiff.
Oh my gosh.
Only,
know
only
very
in
well.
California and well, a few other states would he have been left, you know, the House and be elected senator. It was, oh, I couldn't believe it. Against a guy like Steve Garvey, a beloved Dodger, a decent human being, family man, intelligent guy. Only in California could he have lost to this Schiff.
I know of all the people that they've been pouring into the state for generations,
Yeah.
right?
Horrible, horrible person. Just continued to lie. You know, and there again, too, It's not what he did to Trump. It's what he did to the American people. The whole Russia, Russia, Russia. He lied all the way through it. They spent, what, $40 million. They distracted the president of the United States, which means that he couldn't do the proper job for the American people because of these distractions. And they just went on and on and on and on. And they put this guy back in office. You know, I don't know how you feel about this. I'm normally, you know, give people a break. You know, I want them to hold every one of these people accountable. I don't care that they go to prison, but the American people have to see you cannot continue in this kind of behavior and not be held out accountable for it. I would love to see Joe Biden, you're not going to go to jail, but I want them to say he was guilty. First of all, he was guilty of having those classified documents. They always call Trump a criminal. Trump hasn't been, you know, Trump's not a criminal, but his own special counsel said he was guilty of having classified documents. He shouldn't have had them. He was guilty, but he had dementia and he couldn't be, you know, at trial. They couldn't take him to trial. Right, how convenient. But he was guilty. That's number one. Number two, they should show the American people this guy was treasonous. This is what happened during this administration. This is what happened when he was vice president, and they covered it all up. Adam Schiff, he lied. You can't lie like this and get away with it to the American people.
Exactly. Not to mention the Hunter Biden laptop, the laptop from hell.
51 people lied about it.
Lincoln, our Secretary of State, Jake Sullivan, our National Security Advisor, they put their name on the letter saying that it was Russian disinformation.
When they knew it wasn't.
They knew that it wasn't. And even the Washington Post, which is not known for being conservative outlet, said it was completely verifiable, that the laptop was real.
Why? Well, the FBI authenticated it a year in advance of that.
In the court of law, because it's
exactly.
his.
Well, that was the main evidence against Hunter to convict him. And nobody's talking about that. Like, do you see what these people did? I believe that could have had a tremendous impact on the election, because remember, it happened just before the election.
And that's why I think it's very hard. It's so hard for someone with my background to admit this, but it's true. The election was rigged in 2020. I don't condone the violence on January 6th, but the election was rigged. Because American people would have made a different decision had they known about the contents of the laptop.
100%.
And they quashed the story. Facebook quashed the story. Twitter did. And now I know. I also have to assume responsibility and take accountability. I fell for it. I
was going to say, but you didn't know it. You fell for it because you thought,
I believed it. I earnestly believed it. I thought, like, if NBC News told me something, it must be true because it's NBC News and CBS and like the Walter Cronkite establishment. How could they be lying to me?
I understand that, but let me tell you this. I don't know if you knew this, but Kash Patel said this. He said it in front of Congress, I believe, that when he was assistant director of the FBI. Just before January 6th, Trump made what do we call it? Trump went to the FBI and said, we need the National Guard there that day. Kash Patel, okay, he himself communicated that to Nancy Pelosi and to the mayor of D.C., and both of them rejected having the National Guard there.
Really?
They had minimum police force there. They didn't have the normal contingency of police. I have to believe that this was a setup. I have to. Plus, I spoke to the attorney for two of the people that got pardoned. I had two of the people that were pardoned on my podcast. And what they told me, I mean, these were innocent people. One was a veteran Marine.
I just reached out to Brandon Straka.
I'm telling you, this was a setup. They figured this would be the destruction of Trump, that he had an insurrection. And this would have been it. This was their first major move after the impeachments and after everything else. This was what they were going to do to him. And they failed. They failed. Well, they didn't fail because he didn't become president again, but I'm saying, obviously he's made his comeback. But this is how devious they were. Nancy Pelosi refused, and Kash Patel said it. We communicated that the president wanted the National Guard there. It was her decision, and it was also the decision of the mayor of D.C., and they both said no.
Thank you for letting me know that.
And they didn't even have the proper security. They bury it.
Like, I didn't read this in mainstream media. Like, this is the first time I'm hearing it.
Absolutely.
This should not be, though.
Absolutely. You also, one of the people that were pardoned told me that he was outside. He was fighting cancer at the time. He said, I did nothing violent. He said, I was standing there next to Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law, who was taking pictures and inviting people to go inside the Capitol. Yeah, he was walking them in. And her daughter was in there taking photos of everybody.
Yeah.
And I said, would you swear to that? He said, 100%. I'll take a lie detector test. I seen him. I was standing right next to him. He was making us go in, and his wife was taking pictures of people going into the Capitol. I mean, this was a setup. And let's switch gears for a minute, because there's so many people.
I want to say, first of all, thank you.
Yeah, that's the
for saying
truth.
that,
And
because
you
it's
can
not what
verify
I
with
usually
Patel.
hear.
Verify
Well,
with.
I felt something was off because I reached out to Brandon, who was just pardoned. You know who I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, I know who it is.
Because I felt something wasn't right here. And I wasn't getting the full story in the mainstream media.
You weren't getting the full story. And believe me, I spoke to the lawyer that represented them and represented a lot of the people on the pardon. The horror stories coming out of, they put innocent people in jail. And they went after them with a venom. They didn't care. They destroyed families. If you hear some of them, it brings tears to your eyes. And you know, the other thing is, we hear a lot of people calling Trump a liar, Trump this, Trump that. I know you were even against him at one point. I understand that because you bought into this. But I sit down and I ask people, okay, tell me what he lied about that affected the American people. Let's say you were right about that affair he had in 2006, before he was president, before he decided to run. Let's say he wasn't kind to a woman at that point. I'll make it easy at that. Okay, I give you that. How did he impact you during his presidency? What did he do what did he lie about? What did he do that was so terrible? Explain it to me so I can understand. Maybe I'll agree with you. I can't get an answer from anybody on that. Anybody, Lindsay, to say, you know, okay, Lindy, he was so bad because he did this, 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 and this. Nobody can answer. And if you can answer me, then okay, I'll agree with you. Hey, I tell people this. I have no relationship with Trump. He's not supporting my family. I have nothing to do with him. I sat down with Lara Trump, wonderful woman. You know, when I talked to her more about family stuff than politics. You know, how did you feel the first time you met Donald Trump? You know, because I wanted to get away from the politics. She's a lovely woman, you know. And I looked at Donald Trump and I said, okay, I'm looking at his family. He's got 2 good sons. His daughter's great. You know, his daughter-in-law is great. I judge people by their family.
Look at Biden's
And then I look at Biden.
3 drug addicts.
Exactly. So here's what I'm saying, and I'm asking you now. When you were on the other side, that side, when you look at Trump, what did he do that was so terrible to the American people? That's my question. I want somebody to give me an answer. That was a Democrat at one time. What did he do?
I think the main thing, you were just unraveling it for me. I think the main thing was really January 6th.
Well, you know, Bill Maher, who I sat with, had the same issue. That was his big thing with Donald Trump. And I even said to him, I said, Bill, do you know what Kash Patel said? Do you know that he was preparing for this? He had a feeling, you know, maybe he was going to say some things. I asked the 2 people at the pardon, I said, during that, did you have any idea at all? Were you prepared at all that we were going to go into the Capitol? It wasn't even a thought. They didn't even think about it. Did Donald Trump, during that speech that he made, say anything that enticed you to go into the Capitol? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I've asked so many other people the same thing that were there. Not one of them said anything. And they would say, well, you know what? We felt we had to do it because we were supporting our guy, and he said, yeah, we should do that. None of them said that. They were invited into the Capitol. Invited. And they were incited. And, you know, and I don't even blame the police, because I think the police were told, if you're going to have a riot there that day, be ready. Now, when you have that mentality,
Exactly.
then you're preparing for that, and you're thinking
If you're
something's,
a hammer, everything looks like
you
a
think
nail.
something's going to happen. So I don't blame the police. That some of them got a little bit out of hand, I understand.
Oh,
I
and
don't
here's
blame that.
something that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I never really felt really good about the liberal police on January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
They would come to our events subsequently and hawk their books or promote whatever they
Really?
may have going on.
After January 6th.
Oh, yeah. Like at the DNC, Harry Dunn joined me at the debate,
Mm-hmm.
asked me for some money for some venture. I don't even remember. I just remember being, okay, first he was sweating like crazy. I remember being so cold and he was like covered in sweat. He asked me for, it would just run me off the wrong. I just met him and he was asking me for money. So I think they were really trying to use their situation and what happened to them for their monetary gain.
I-
So that
I-
didn't really strike me as something positive. Um,
Well, look, I'm going to tell you a point of view you may not agree with, but I will say this. They were so concerned about them coming into their sacred place, the Capitol, all of these people that we think we have to bow, that they think we have to bow down to. They forgot that there are public servants, that we put them in office and we pay their salaries, aside from what they steal. But you know, when you go back to the whole riots that we had, when
The
businesses were burned down
Oh my
and cops were killed
was
and people
horrific.
were killed,
my street was set on fire. You know, I
yeah,
live in
what did they
Philadelphia.
call it? The summer of peace. They didn't care that people were dying and businesses were shutting down, but we had to be so worried about them, you know, in the Capitol.
You know what DEI is cover for? BLM.
Yeah, well, look what that happened.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Exactly. You're totally right. And that's not talked enough about because there was a 5 alarm fire. I actually tweeted about it. My entire street, it's actually the most, I moved away from that building. Part of the reason why I moved is because of what happened. But they set the wealthiest part of Philadelphia on fire out of spite
Mm-hmm.
because it's the whitest part of Philadelphia. They set my street on fire. For an entire week, my street smelled like burned rubber. I don't even know where the rubber is coming from.
Mm.
And I couldn't open my windows because the smell was so intoxicating, it would make you sick. They did that to my home.
And they lied and covered up about that. This was,
That was nothing.
it was not.
That because these people are disadvantaged, they had every right to smash the windows of Tiffany's or the Apple store.
Exactly.
Those were the stores on my street.
Yeah, they were okay with that. Even, I think AOC or Kamala Harris, I can't remember.
Kamala Harris was the one who started the fund. And the fund
she
is
was the
still
one.
up.
Yeah.
I was so angry about that. You're totally right. And those riots across the country were far more damaging.
And they covered it up. They tried to cover it up.
Not only did they cover it up, they made it seem like something righteous.
It was justified.
Exactly.
Yeah. But God forbid you go on their hallowed ground and you know, where it was an insurrection. Nonsense. Lindy, they lie all the time. I cannot trust the war, and I don't want to feel that way.
Yeah.
But I can't trust them
And Michael,
anymore.
the thing is, I was there on the ground when they were stealing all that merchandise and just breaking the windows. And they did it by going in as a gang, so the police couldn't just. It's harder to catch like 10 people versus one. So they would break in the window, and I was just standing there watching in disbelief. They would just grab like all the clothing and just run out. How is that? What does that have to do with racial justice?
Nothing.
And then I would ask, like, what does this have to do with anything? And they're like, oh, that's reparations
Mm-hmm.
to make up for whatever slavery from
Yeah.
like 300 years ago.
And I would say to them, well, why don't you give them some of your money if you're so concerned about them? You know, you support them. Do whatever you want.
And they're trying to do it in the state of California, make you give reparations.
Exactly. I don't think that'll pass. Not after this last election. You know, if you look at the map in California, it was
Everything went red.
only the coastal states, and I think that might even switch now after what happened with these fires. You know, they're the only coastal cities rather, were the only ones that went blue.
They went blue, but they shifted red.
Yes.
The entire country shifted red.
Shifted red.
Yeah, exactly. We're sick and tired of this nonsense.
But we need to go back to that question. Make believe you're still in the Democratic Party
Yeah.
doing your thing. Okay, Donald Trump is running. Can you tell me what he did that was so horrible to the American people? How he lied? They say he lies all the time.
Michael, I'm a conservative, so I'm actually good with his policies. I was just upset about January 6th.
So
if you can solve that issue, and you're solving that already, if you can solve it, I'm already with you guys already. Yeah, like, but I'm just saying that was my main sticking point. Because from my point of view, and I'm just saying this is how I was thinking. As an immigrant, I felt so grateful to be American. Everyone I love is American. I am so blessed to be here. My family was persecuted and murdered in China. So for me, in my mind, the Capitol represented so much.
I get it.
And that's why it felt like a violation. But if you're already explaining it, and that's why I reached out to Brandon too, because I did some research on my own and something didn't feel right. If that can be solved, I'm good.
Well, I want to say this, to be perfectly fair. After the election, I said to myself, okay, Donald Trump, people are just tired of his tweets, tired of the fighting back and forth. You know, I believe that if he would have at some point, a year before the campaign, I mean, a year before the election, if he would have said to the American people, you know what, I'm not fighting with Nancy Pelosi anymore. I'm not doing any more of these tweets. I'm only concerned about the American people, and stop fighting back. And he would have changed his tone a little bit similar to the tone that he has now. I think the election might have been a different outcome. But people were saying, this is what I said to myself. I said it to my wife. People are so tired. Maybe Biden offers them some peace, because this is what he's been saying. He's going to bring back normalcy. Okay, I get it. But then I started to, people have, when I started to see the things that were coming out about the election and about the mail-in ballots, and I'm saying COVID and him in his basement, something's going on here. This isn't right. And that's when I started to think. But initially I said, okay, he lost. He should have done this. He should have toned it down. He should have stopped the fighting and these stupid tweets that he did and the name calling. It just grinded on people. That's why he lost. But then I started to change my opinion when I really looked into it. And I said, no, they're stealing this election. All these mail-in ballots. And how do you justify in the state of California that you can have your ballots counted 7 days later without even a postmark on it? Do you know that you don't even need a postmark on it?
I live in Philadelphia, and I've seen firsthand how easy it is to steal.
It's easy.
It's so easy.
It's so easy. Then you see people stuffing ballots. They had no control over this. They had none.
Also, this is a minor quibble, but my ballot is now completely Spanish. I never asked for that. I'm American. I speak English. I want my ballot to be in English. I actually filed a complaint with the city of Philadelphia. I said, I want an English ballot. I know them. I went straight to the commissioner. I was like, please, I don't want this again if this is going to be in Spanish.
I don't blame you. I wasn't even allowed to vote as a convicted felon, and I didn't even register, and they were giving me ballots.
Really?
Yeah, and I voted. I said, okay, if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to vote. I never registered. No, I never registered. Yeah, I never did because I was a felon. I knew I had lost my right at that point. I got it back now, but they were sending me ballots. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
But you see, that's the thing, Lindy. Nobody can tell me Trump's a liar. Trump's just everything they said. I said, well, give me an example. Tell me how he lied to the detriment of the American people. Tell me that. I want to know. I'll research it. And if you're right, I'll agree with you. Nobody's been able to say it to me. Nobody. Even now, well, Trump's a liar. Okay, tell me where he lied. Explain it to me. That hurt the American people. Don't tell me what he did 20 years ago. I want to hear that. Nobody can tell me anything.
Didn't AOC call him a serial?
Yeah, well, everybody, he was called a serial. I think you might have said that at one time. Yeah, you bought into that also.
I did because of the E. Jean Carroll thing.
Yeah. And look, that's horrible what he did at that point. I mean, but look, I know that it's locker room stuff. Regardless, it's not good.
But you know what? I'm also one of those rare women. I'm not a supporter of Me Too. I think Me Too has gone off the rails. It's just absolutely obscene that one woman's word can destroy a man.
Absolutely.
It's unacceptable. And I'm going to say right here, there's a man who sexually assaulted me. I will never say anything. I'm going to take it to I did tell my mom, but it's just not, he didn't rape me. Otherwise I would have gone to the police, but I'm not going to let a few minutes destroy this man's life. In fact, I've been working with him for the past 17 years. Because I'm a grown adult. I'm a professional. I get shit done. And you just move on. Whereas these women, they want their 15 minutes of fame. And it could be nothing. Could have been a kiss or something. Or I don't know, like an unwanted hug. That is just not enough. A man doesn't deserve that. What about some grace? And are you really going to criminalize flirting? Like, and calling people sweetheart. You can call people sweetheart. You can hug people. It shouldn't be a crime. But you've seen so many men go down.
Yes.
Because of just what used to be courtship.
Right.
And I'm not gonna condone any of that. It's just wrong. Not only that, the crusade against white men.
I know.
Like white men are now one of the most, punished demographics.
Yeah. I know. It's I don't. And this is what I don't understand this whole mentality anymore. I don't get it. To me, it's so off the charts. You know,
Being white is like a crime now.
it's a crime. And and Biden was white, but I guess he got a pass because he was against white men.
Well, he was for the trannies and everybody. I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
No, but see, I want to point this out because if Trump is guilty of something or he did something, like my big beef with Trump was that he allowed the debt to grow in his first term, and he shouldn't have.
Well, that wasn't his fault. I had to defend him. The COVID.
Great,
He was
please
trying
do.
to get us.
All right.
Trying to save our economy from.
All right, well, I
pandemic, right?
appreciate that. But you know, I said you're fighting against the debt back then, but you allowed it to grow. That was my one beef I
He's
had.
trying to make amends now with Doge.
Yes, yes, and he's doing the right thing. He absolutely is doing the right thing. So, but if somebody can point it out, okay, Trump lied to the American people, or Trump did this to the detriment of the American people. It's just like now. AOC and Bernie Sanders is running around the country, and he's saying this, and there's nothing whatsoever to support it. What he's saying is these tax cuts and Doge, it's all because he wants to benefit his billionaire friends. Well, show me how he's done that. Give me some evidence of that. Show me he's earning this money. Show me who earned that money the last time when he gave us all a tax break and put some money back in our pockets. Show me who these people are that benefited.
And you know
They can't answer.
Exactly. And you know what they failed to mention? More billionaires supported Kamala Harris than supported Trump.
Exactly.
And Bernie Sanders, yeah, that Bernie Sanders is the one who owns 3 homes and is a multimillionaire who calls himself
That's the socialist.
I went to war against him 5 years ago. AOC called me out on this is before I wasn't used to being canceled. Like now I'm like attacked on a monthly basis, but like back in the day. No, I've been canceled like 17 times at this point. I'm uncancelable, but AOC was the first person to cancel me. I remember
AOC?
crying AOC because I hinted that I would rather vote for Trump than Sanders. She was like, "Oh my God, what a traitor!" So I remember that she made me trend on Twitter.
Can you imagine her talking about economics? She was a bartender before.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the same thing I said about Kamala Harris. When Kamala Harris, during the campaign, came out with her plan, her plan to save the economy. I said, based upon what knowledge or experience? I'm a business guy. Based upon what knowledge or experience do you have to run the biggest economy in the world and tell us how to improve it?
You know,
How?
Michael, I've spent a lot of time with her, and I really wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. I thought of it this way. If you made it to Senator of California in the vice presidency, you have to be smart, right? Like, that's just my thought process. Like, how could you possibly make it that far without having the smarts? And I realized this woman just happened to be in the right place at the right time,
Exactly.
decade after decade, being in the right relationship with people. Exactly.
That's it right there.
And we're sexist and racist for pointing out that maybe a 29-year-old dating a 6-year-old is a little bit weird. Who was married at the time too, which made it even more weird.
Mhm.
So we're not allowed to mention that.
Of
But if it
course.
hadn't been for Willie Brown, she never would have gotten her start.
Nowhere. And everybody in California knows that.
But we're not allowed to talk.
You're not allowed. Well, you weren't allowed to talk about it, but everybody knew it.
To mention it.
Yeah, we knew it for a while. And you know what? The blacks in this state hated her. Hated her. They thought she was a sellout, a phony. They didn't even know if she was black, but they hated her.
Lock a brother up.
Yeah, lock a brother up, Kamala. Because we have black friends. They all hated her. You know, she absolutely, her relationships got her a job. She was never qualified.
I really, I always go into every relationship with an open heart, kind of, and I really wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. And that's why it took me so long. It was hard because I had to basically discard my entire worldview. You have to remember, I grew up in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, an extremely liberal city.
Very liberal.
I went to Princeton, an extremely liberal university. I lived in New York. I worked at Morgan Stanley, New York City, extremely liberal city. It was my entire world. So stepping away from that it was traumatic. It was really hard. But now I realize, but I'm also not going to deny that she was a decent person to me, but she was not qualified to be president.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
No, she
Put a sentence together.
I know.
Word salads were just.
She's still out there doing it. Like even this month. Did you see the smell one? Neil, did you see her?
I did not.
She just came out with a new word salad about the world wildfires and the smell.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Peter
So that,
tweeted that
yes.
one, yeah.
You know,
I don't understand. Like you and I are having a pretty intelligible conversation, right? Like,
yes.
using real words and like people can understand us. Why can't she also come up with coherent sentences?
Because she's not smart. She's not bright.
And then I remember, yes, the average IQ is around 100.
Yeah, she's not bright. I mean, we're being kind to her by saying that. And we don't have to be, because she was ready to pull a scam on the entire world, basically, the entire country, by making us believe she was qualified to be president when she knew that other people were going to have influence on her. I think if she would have become president, it would have been a battle, because I don't know how much she was going to allow people to control her. And I would sit back and think of that. I said, wow, if this woman does come
It
in,
would have been a Tony West presidency, her brother-in-law.
yeah, maybe.
And Obama for sure. I mean, not even a question.
I mean, we used to sit back. I said, it can't be possible. I grew up with intelligent people in office, and how is this woman running for president?
My country is not going to let me down. There's no way they're going to vote.
Yeah, she had a very positive outlook, and I was like, I don't know.
I didn't vote for her.
Well, thank
I
God.
just couldn't vote for her. But I didn't vote for Trump either. I didn't vote for the president.
Okay.
I voted for my senator, who's a dear friend, but he lost. But I just couldn't bring myself to vote for her. And they asked me to post that I voted for her, so I did. Because I was influencer for the campaign. It was kind of my job. I want to be very clear, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm independent financially. I wasn't paid for any of this. I wasn't paid for the fundraising. I wasn't paid for influencing. I wasn't paid. It was just what I did. It was the world that I grew up in.
Yeah.
But I couldn't, in my good conscience, vote for that. I just couldn't vote for that.
Well,
I couldn't
I'm
vote
happy
to
to hear that.
perpetuate that.
I'm
I voted for Biden in 2020.
Okay.
And I realized what that got us.
And again, but you know what? I understand that, because Biden pulled a scam on everybody. I mean, we have to say that.
He ran as a moderate, and I believe that.
He pulled a scam on everybody, and the party pulled a scam with having him up front there. We get that. And like I said, I even reluctantly understood, okay, people are tired of Trump. It's too much, the combativeness. And I can relate to Trump. I'm a New Yorker too. We tend to fight back. And was his personality, was his nature, but it grounded on people. And, but they didn't understand that he was always on the defense. It wasn't that he was on the offense.
He wanted to work with Pelosi.
Yes,
and Schumer.
but he was always on the defense because he got attacked every single day. So he kept fighting back and fighting back. But people then start to say, enough, we had enough. So I kind of got it when Biden was in, until I started investigating. And you know what? This was a phony election. They stuffed the ballots. They did do this. And I started hearing things. And I have some friends in those places. And I said, COVID, they were able to pull this scam off because of COVID. And then when you look at everything else they did, closing the schools down you know what, Lindy, how horrible is this? Millions of people died, and they covered up this whole thing from Wuhan. Fauci belongs in jail. He's a horrible person.
I'm of Chinese descent.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I'm just going to say it.
Go ahead.
China did this to us. And the people who covered it up, who said we were crazy for saying it was a lab leak, they should be held accountable.
100%.
My dad, and again, I was so deep in the woke mind virus. My dad was telling me in 2020 that it was a lab leak. My dad was a medical doctor.
Mm.
And I was like, you're crazy.
So he knew it, your dad.
My dad knew, but I bought into, again, NBC and NPR, like all of these things, I held them as my gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no way. Because I heard on the news, like, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's like, my dad always knows.
But we don't know this. We don't know if it was an intentional leak.
Exactly, but we do know it was a lab leak.
It was a leak,
yeah.
but we don't know if it was an intentional leak. Big difference. Big difference. But the fact that Fauci lied about
Negligence is also something to be angry about. They should.
Yes, 100%. Negligence, yes. But there's a difference between negligence and intentional,
Yeah.
because so many people died and
So
the
many
whole world was
Even
affected.
including, I mean, Chinese people.
Yeah, but Fauci lied about it, and our administration covered it up. You know,
He made us feel crazy for
yeah.
questioning him.
God, how do we, because he was following the science. Well, no, he wasn't. And
He was
how do you,
following the wallet.
yeah, and then you pardon somebody like this. That's when I'm saying this, Lindy, I'm not the person to judge. Their behavior was very bad. Look, I'm a Christian. You know what I pray for? I pray for all of these people to repent and accept our Lord and straighten their eternity out. But that doesn't mean you're not held accountable for your behavior here on earth. We're all held accountable. I went to jail for 10 years for things that I did wrong. I get it. I deserved it. But you got to be held accountable, because this kind of behavior cannot continue, because you're impacting millions of people. How many people died during COVID? How many relatives were not able to be with their loved ones when they died because of this phony 6 feet and you can't be around? It was all nonsense.
So nonsense.
It was an absolute lie.
Even as a Democrat, I fought against that. They attacked me.
But you know what? You can't even be put to blame, because we believed it.
But even then, I'm telling you, even as a Democrat, I chafed against restrictions. That was actually one of the things. People think that I suddenly switched. No, it was years and years, like little things, like little aggravations that would accumulate over the years. The COVID stuff, and then the DEI stuff, and the trans stuff, and the border stuff. It's just like one thing after another.
Yeah, and I understand that. But even with COVID, okay, we were believing it, Cam, you and I. Hey, look, this is what they're telling us. Even Trump with the
I
vaccine, he
had
was getting it out
Democrats
there.
following me,
Yeah.
videotaping me for not wearing a mask and just stalking me.
Oh,
I filed 2
know.
police reports. It was just,
Oh, believe me, I was in a grocery store one day picking out some seafood or something, and some guy was yelling at me because I got within 4 feet of him, some older guy. And I said, relax. If you're that worried, you should stay home. We both had a mask on, but I mean, it got that intense. It got that intense, but we bought into what we were being told. But, then I look back and I say, wow, they really do have blood on their hands. These are bad people.
and not only that, the invisible pain that they caused us, the
Yes.
mental wreckage.
And we're still recovering from it.
I think I'm still in the,
A lot of people are still recovering from the aftermath of COVID.
like it's just seriously psychic trauma, the relationships they
Yeah.
damaged.
Absolutely.
And we're never going to get the time back.
Never going to get the time back. Look what happened to our students, our kids in school. The time that they lost, they can't make up for it. It's years later yet.
And they're in their most formative age. They should be outside. They should be, socializing.
Yeah. I think that the impact of COVID, I mean, people don't want to go to work still. They're so used to
All the
being in their
work from home
home.
stuff,
Yeah, all this
exactly.
stuff. I mean, it caused so much damage. And anybody that were responsible for pulling the wool over our eyes when they knew different, they should be held accountable. And and they say Trump, it's revenge. It's not revenge. It's accountability. There's a difference. Because these people are in a position to do something like this again, and we have to stop it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good that he pulled Fauci's Secret Service.
Yes. What does he need it for?
And it wasn't even like, it was like a luxury vehicle. Did you see? He had like a limo and everything.
What does he need it for?
He made so much money off of us, he can pay for his own security.
Absolutely. And even Biden now, I think they
Like
pulled.
Hunter Biden is out in he's in South Africa on our dime, living in a
why?
villa.
Why?
He told the judge that he's broke. He's
That's over
basically dodging the
millions.
law.
The millions that he took. How's he broke?
And you know what else? Biden refused to recognize his granddaughter from
Right.
that stripper.
Right.
And he talks about being a family guy.
He's the farthest thing from, as a father and a husband, he's the furthest thing from that, this guy. He's such a phony. I hate to say it. I'm sorry, and people may look at me differently. I have no empathy for him, because in my mind, treasonous, blood on his hands, cover up, all to the detriment of millions of people.
Did he lie to me? Wow, this is the first time I'm asking, I guess he's a really good actor because I fell for all of them.
Well, no, if he was kind to you, I get it. I give him credit for being kind to a person, but
most importantly, he was kind to my father.
okay.
So
well,
but wow, did I really fall for all of that? It's
Yeah.
like painful for me to even like contemplate.
Well, you know what? I have to say, Lindy, and I don't mean this in a yes, because this is a bad guy. You know, I look at things maybe a little bit more cynically at times because of my background, but I really observed him. He's not a good person.
Yeah, I also, I read the book What It Takes by Richard Ben Kramer, which is about the 1988 presidency, how Biden cheated, the
Yeah,
plagiarism.
plagiarism. Yeah.
And I just, in my mind, I was explaining it because the two different versions of Biden were hard to reconcile.
He was a racist at one time. I mean, the guy is he's all over the place. Whatever got him to the next position, um, just the guy would make up stories. He's just a liar. There's something
Also,
wrong
I
with him.
realized that he used his two sons when his wife was killed in that
Yeah.
crash.
Yes.
He used his two sons as a prop in the campaign photo.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would never do that. You
Never.
just use your
Not in a
family
million
as
years.
basically as an advertising gimmick.
Let me ask you this. Let's switch to what do you have planned for yourself now as we wrap this thing up? Where do you go from here?
But first, like, I haven't slept yet for a few days. I'm gonna go home and sleep after this. I'm gonna go fly home to Pennsylvania to sleep.
Politically, are you going to stay in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a book coming out which will rock the political world. It will rock the political
Oh,
world.
I can't wait.
Like absolute bombshells. I have no one to protect anymore. I've been protecting them for years.
Hmm.
And the way that they treated me like shit.
Yeah.
I was protecting them just out of like human decency.
Would you ever think of running for office yourself? I know you did at one time, right?
Youngest woman ever run for Congress.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually telling someone I love, the only time I would ever run is if like President Trump or President Vance says, I endorse you for senator of Pennsylvania. But I'm never going to do it on my own ever again because the psychological pain is so deep. It's so deep. And I've been through I've been through a lot, like even as a kid. But I'm actually, after this, I'm meeting with someone about doing a docu-series,
Mm-hmm.
which will also be interesting. And then
Well, here's what you have to decide. Because you're experienced and you're obviously very intelligent, are you better serving people by being in office or having a voice about those going into office
Exactly.
and about policy?
I wonder though, what is the price of peace? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And as I said earlier, we are on borrowed time. And um it's just very hard. I'm still recovering from everything. I sometimes in the middle of the night I check, is someone attacking me right now? Are they going to start another smear campaign? It's just so hard. My brain accustomed. I'm like in a war zone. Do you understand? I think I need to get on even footing first.
Well, Lindy, I think the more the American people, we have to pray that Trump continues to have success and that the American people are benefiting from that. And I don't want to get into all those policies yet. That's too much politics at the point. But I think as that progresses, I think you'll be in a lot better position because those that might be attacking you, they're going to fall by the wayside.
I'm also going to do whatever I can to help the GOP win the midterms.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have the capacity to raise millions of dollars easily. I will do that for sure.
Well, I will tell you this. To me, that's paramount. Any way that I can help,
And I live in the swing state of Pennsylvania. So
any way I can help you, if
any
there's
way I
any.
can help you. You have been a shining light in this, in this world. Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
that.
Everywhere I go, I hear your name from like unexpected corners, even from people on Connect, on PBDs, like everywhere. People from, I just got a message about you from someone in New Zealand. I
Oh.
kid you not. Let me pull up the message right now. Someone from a name I can't even pronounce in New Zealand.
Well, that's the power of social media. Who is it?
Watching Michael fans is a fan of yours. You wouldn't
Oh,
even
okay,
know.
yeah.
Watching your critique of the JFK file. This guy lives in the Down Under.
Well, maybe I'll see him in the next couple of
What
weeks.
I mean is like your legacy and your voice has touched so many corners of the world
Oh, thank
that you wouldn't even know. Your
Wow.
career, not even career trajectory, because I feel like that puts way too much of an inhuman. Your life has been such an amazing testimony.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I watched I think, well, you spoke at a church a few days ago.
Yeah, well, actually yesterday.
Oh, I haven't slept.
No, and well, I don't know if that was posted yet, but yeah, I speak at a lot of churches, so they post it afterwards sometimes. So,
Yeah, you really are making a tremendous impact wherever you go.
well,
So.
you know what? There's a number of people, they once wanted me to run for the mayor of Las
I
Vegas.
was also
And
going to ask, who is your member of Congress right now, and why aren't you running against them?
well,
Is it a Democrat?
because first of all, my wife will probably divorce me if I ever did.
Who is
Number
your
one.
member of Congress?
Here? Oh my God, you don't want it. What's her name? I can't even, I dislike her so much, I can't even mention her name. The Congresswoman. Yeah, the one that's, that I'm going to do the Mamaluke of the Week about.
Oh,
It's his, no, what's her name? You know her for sure, but I can't even.
What ethnicity is she?
Oh my gosh, what?
What?
She's black.
Is she Sydney something?
oh,
Come on, babe.
Maxine Waters.
Maxine
Oh my
Waters.
God. If you run against her, you're going to win. I kid you not.
Gosh.
I thought you were talking about somebody else here.
No,
Maxine Waters
Maxine Waters.
is such a joke.
Yes, she stands for nothing.
She's such a joke.
Yeah, she stands for nothing except racism.
DEI,
That's it.
anti-white racism.
That's it. She's the one that
If you run
said,
against her, you will win.
but I will be divorced. So I'll lose that. I'll lose my wife of 40 years coming up.
Also, your wife is timeless. Oh my God, I was just looking at her. You're so beautiful.
All right, thank you.
Wow, amazing.
But we would not be married again. She told me I'm not going to.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we've already had a life that's been a roller coaster. It's like now we're just getting to like some peace and
Stability.
You said, what is the price of peace?
But I think my job is to try to get the right people into office and the wrong people out of office. That's what I think, because I have a voice now, and I think that's where I could do the best job. Really, because I know people don't, but I really have a heart for this country. Because you know what? When I was doing the wrong thing on the street, they did the right thing to come at me. I have no complaints. I have no complaints whatsoever. I understand that, and I'm a reasonable guy. You know, I'll say this to you, Lindy. When the FBI was in, I don't know if you know this, but I was arrested 18 times back then. I had 7 indictments, 2 federal racketeering cases, 1 state, 1 brought on by Rudy Giuliani, who's now my friend.
Yeah, I saw that.
They wanted to put me away for 100 years. We're friends. I went to trial 5 times. I defended my father in numerous cases.
By the way, it says how much of a man you are that he is now your friend. Like,
Well-
how many men are able to transcend that and put that in the past?
Well, yeah, I
That speaks
appreciate
volumes about you. I just had to say that.
I appreciate that. But my point is that, what was I going to say? What was my
Oh,
point
sorry.
in all of it? No.
You-
Yeah, but we used to tell the FBI, I told the FBI, listen, I understand you have a job to do. If you get me the right way and don't frame me, because my reasoning is you're the federal government. You have all the tools on your side. You're not allowed to break the law to go after lawbreakers. You have to abide by the rules. And if you do that and you get me, I have no complaint.
Mhm.
None whatsoever.
Mhm.
Just don't harass my family and frame us. And I felt that way my whole time. When I went to jail, I was justified. I broke the law and they got me. It's okay. So I didn't hate my country. Never. I love my country, and I love my kids and my grandkids. And I was really concerned. I didn't sleep at night over Kamala Harris becoming president. I really didn't. It bothered me that much. She'd tell you, she had to shut off the television sometimes. I would get so angry because I would say, Cammy, they're lying. I hope people are not buying into this. They are lying. And it's one thing to lie, frivolous, doesn't mean it. But when you're lying and you're hurting people to the extent that you've hurt people through COVID and through all of this stuff, it's horrible. And it really bothered me. And so it's continuing to bother me. So I think my voice is better than me running for office, because I don't have any constrictions now. I can say what I want, and I'll say what I
We're
want.
obviously meant to do this. How many people can have 2 million followers in such a short amount of time?
Oh,
Like something happened. You obviously, God has destined you to do this. I mean, it's undeniable.
Well, we'll see what happens.
You see how hard it is? Michelle Obama, what, 14,000 followers?
I know, but what you did is absolutely brave. And when my wife was the first one, she said, we have to get Lindy. Because she said, this is so commendable what that woman is doing. And she felt for you. She watched a lot of your interviews. And she said, to do something like that, knowing how bad these people could be and how mean they could be and how treacherous they can be, that was brave. Really, it's still brave. And I really commend you for that. And I mean it.
Thank you for coming from you. It means the world.
No, I mean it. And listen, we all could change our opinions. When you see something going wrong, you buy into something. Wait a second. I was misled, or I didn't get it, or I didn't understand it. It's not a flip-flop. Kamala Harris flip-flopped because she wanted to become president. So she was changing some of the views she knew was unpopular. She still held those views. She was just being, disingenuous. But it's one thing, you stood up for what you said and you made your switch and that's it. And you're not running for office at this point. Nobody's paying you. You just did what you did for the right reason.
No one is paying me.
Yes.
I'm paying to be here. So, I'm like, you're not paying me for this.
Well, I would love to go on that. What was his name? Roman? What's his name? Martin?
You would.
I would love to go on his show and say, you're saying a lot of things. Show me.
I would never let you because you'd put the lie to everything.
I would destroy.
It's another anti-white racism
I know.
guy.
They won't call me on a show like that because I want to go on a show like that and just. Oh, The View?
Oh my God, you would watch The View.
I would say, just put me on a View, unedited, attack me whenever you want. Let me come back. I can't even believe, and I'll tell you what happened to me. This is funny. Andrew Tate, we went to Romania. I took a photo. I took a photo with Andrew Tate. I had a whole tour going on in the United Kingdom. My wife, we took a photo. My wife, my daughter, Tate. Do you know that they tried to throw me out of the country because of a photo I had?
Romania?
Yeah, no, United Kingdom.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they called me a misogynist.
When did this happen?
2023, when I had a tour there.
The UK?
Yeah, the UK. I had 13 dates, appearances, right? They went to some woman in Parliament said I'm a misogynist. They went to all of my venues that were on for 7-8 months in advance, tickets sold and everything, and said, if you host this guy, we're going to pull your business license. They tried to have me deported from the country. I fought back.
Because of a photo? Because
of a photo. They went so far as to say that I was going to have Andrew, and there was no truth to it. I've been speaking for 30 years. I don't speak with anybody. I speak myself. They said that I was going to have Andrew Tate on a video behind me on the stage. It was a total lie. But what did they do, Ken? 13 venues they went to, and some of them canceled out of fear. We had to get, within 24, 48 hours, we had to switch the venue so that the people that bought tickets can go to another venue. My hosts went crazy. This is how bad these people could be. They absolutely lied. I said, a misogynist, I have daughters, I have granddaughters, I have a wife very independent for 40 years. I'm anything but a misogynist. That's the last thing you should call me, but this is the extent that they will go to.
You're not, obviously, but second of all, it's not against the law to be a misogynist. They shouldn't be canceling.
It's almost worse than being illegal in some people's eyes, but it was so untrue. So my point is, this is the extent of, so for you to stand up.
Okay, so I can't believe they did that to you. I'm so sorry.
Well, we worked it out. Look, but for you to stand up, knowing that you were going to be attacked the way you maybe you didn't realize it, but I
did, because I tried to do that with the Bernie Bros 5 years ago. I knew the price to pay, and that's actually why it took me so long, because I knew what was coming. But it had to be done, because if I hadn't said anything, no one would have known about the Oprah stuff and the Beyonce stuff.
That's right.
They would have covered it up.
And what it's so great, because things that I've been saying, you just verified it, so I can come out even stronger now and say these things, because I knew everything that you were saying was true. It was so obvious, so obvious. So just know that you have a lot of support.
Thank you. And they've had 4 months and more to contradict me, and notice nobody has.
They can't.
Nobody has.
They can't.
That's what I said today. The one guy said, the guys who are making noise, he's a nobody.
Yeah, and I'm
What
listening.
you're talking about, no one has said anything.
No.
Come out and said
No.
anything.
So, anything else you want to say before we leave?
Other than thank you to you and your amazing wife.
Well,
It's such an honor to be here.
and it's an honor to have you here.
Nothing but time, but like warmth and grace. Thank you.
Appreciate it, and I hope we get to do some things in the future for the benefit of this country.
Whatever I can to help you, I will.
Okay. Same here.
Yes, they're nestled in my heart. Thank you so much.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, well, there you have it. Make your own judgment. I couldn't find anything that she said that was not truthful or not credible. She spoke from her heart. Very nice woman. Very, very nice woman. Courageous woman. I'll keep saying that because you know what? Who knows with these lunatics on the left, what they may try to do to her or her family. She kept saying she lives high up in her building. Thank God for that. But I still wouldn't trust them. These people are loony. I watch them on television. I say, what kind of people are these? The new mafia. Trust me, the new mafia. Anyway, you know what? If you find something that's not credible, let me know. Everything that she said is spot on. She raised millions of dollars. She went to her friends, her relatives. She went all out for these people. And they've turned on her because she questioned them, and she's right in questioning them. They've lied to us consistently for 4 years, and they're continuing to lie right now. They're doubling down. They won't give it up. Their hatred for Trump and their desire to maintain power and control. Remember that. That's the bottom line here. Maintaining power and control. It's why they flooded the border with illegal migrants and tried to get them to vote, because they knew they would vote Democrat. There was no other reason for that. These people are not humanitarian. They wouldn't even stand. Remember that night? They wouldn't stand for the parents of women that were murdered by illegal migrants. They wouldn't even stand up for a young kid that beat cancer, that was being honored that night. That's how inhumane they are. Don't let them kid you. And I've said this on many of my lives, people, and I'm saying again, you cannot put your trust in them. When they lie to you once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, every single day, you can never trust these people again. Like Gavin Newsom, don't trust him. He just wants to be president. He'll sell his mother to be president. Trust me. This guy is making the reversal, trying to go, to the center because he wants to run for president, and he knows there's nobody out there, so he thinks he's got a shot. The Democrats don't have anybody. So he says, you know what? I got slick hair, I'm good looking, I wear a suit, and I can speak. So he's trying to change his spots, but he's still the same leopard, and he's trying to pull over the wool over your eyes. Just look at his record. It's horrible here in California. He destroyed the politics and the economics in this state. He's horrible. Don't let him pull the wool over your eyes. And I live here in California, so maybe he'll come after me. I invite him. Let's go. Okay? Because I tell the truth. This woman, again, I couldn't find anything not credible. They should be ashamed of themselves the way they treated this woman. They should apologize to her for having her go to her relatives and friends and lying to her, but they don't care. They double down. Double down. So listen, in my book, she's A1. Courageous woman. I appreciate her coming on here. And I said this earlier in my opening. Roland Martin, you want to debate me? Because I listened to what you said about her. Absolutely false. You didn't provide any facts. You want to sit down and debate me? Whether it be you or anybody on the left, I welcome you. Let's sit down and have an intelligent debate, and let's talk facts. Let's review the whole 4 years that Joe Biden was in office. Let's review the whole campaign of Kamala Harris. Let's talk about Tim Walz. Let's talk about Kamala, how she got in power, why she was put there. She was never nominated by the people. Let's talk about everything. The woman lost for a very simple reason. She was incompetent, period. Incompetent. She should have never been in that position. She was a DEI hire. We know that. I say it like it is. We know why Biden put her in as vice president. You mean to tell me there weren't more people qualified, better qualified than Kamala Harris? Anytime anybody on the left will want to debate me, invite me on your platform, or I'll invite you on mine, and let's go for it. No problem. I'm ready, because I speak facts and I speak the truth. That's it. And you want to talk about Trump, I'll talk about it too. Okay? I have things that I like about him very much and about his policies, and some things I don't like. I'm ready to talk about it. Honesty. You know what? I respect Bill Maher. I really do. Because he's sensible. We're talking common sense. That's all we're looking for here. Common sense. At least Bill Maher, he's not changing his party. He says, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm not going to change. He gives reasons why. But he talks common sense, and he calls people out when they should be called out because he's a smart guy with common sense, period. So that's it for today. So I want to thank Lindy Li for coming on today. I really appreciate her courage. I really appreciate her speaking out and talking the truth, because that's what we need, people. We need honesty. We need honest debate. We need honesty. And again, I invite the two-party system. We need it. The Dems just got to clean up their act, because right now they're in outer space someplace. They're a bunch of lunatics, so many of them, running around like, chickens without heads, just saying anything. As long as it's anti-Trump, anything, people be damned. That's who they are. Well, my friends, that's it for today. How do I always leave you? Same way, never going to change. Be safe. You know the drill. Be healthy. You know that drill also. And yes, God bless each and every one of you, all of your families, communities, neighborhoods, and God bless America. See you next time.